Welcome to Beach Boys Talk, a live stream show dedicated to our favorite band, the Beach Boys.
Just from your experience, obviously with the guys
but you know that California, that Beach Boys sound, boy.
Whether you're a seasoned fan or a new listener, there is something for everyone to enjoy on Tuesday nights.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Chad, how are you? How's everybody doing?
We are not experts or historians. We are just two brothers that love the Beach Boys and their music. We bring on historians and authors, current and past band members, and songwriters to bring us closer to the music we all love.
What are you standing here? What are you waiting here for? You know, Brian, you don't have to wait here. Just go in there. You're the brother, man, you know.
Plus, we feature an all-request live platform, so you can hear your favorite songs each week, a live chat so you can connect with other fans, fun games, and of course, the usual shenanigans. So if you're a fan of the Beach Boys, young or young at heart,
get your chatting fingers ready. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
What kept the Beach Boys from being the Beatles? That's a huge, huge question. But I think I've got the answer.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Beach Boys Talk. I'm Matt. This is my brother, Greg. Matt, how you doing, brother?
I'm Matt, and you're Greg, and I'm doing well.
Hi, I'm Matt, and this is Greg, my brother. I know we are so honored to be here with all of you. Let me make sure everything's working. This is my brother, Greg. Okay, we said it. All right. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to be on. We have a fun show planned tonight, and we're so excited to see everybody back. All of our good friends and, Matt, some new folks that I'm seeing in the chat. Some folks that maybe have been watching the show but maybe not chatting, and then some straight-up new people. So welcome. If you're new, tell us your favorite song, and welcome. Get some welcomes in the chat for all the new folks. If you're new, tell us where you're from and your favorite songs. But welcome to Beach Boys Talk, everybody. This is a show dedicated to our favorite band, the Beach Boys, and we just love talking about the music. My brother and I, this is my big brother, Matt, we just love to share the music, share the stories, and have fun with our favorite band. Right, Matt?
Yeah, you know, we're not experts, we're not historians, we're not musicologists, we're just really big fans, and we're always wanting to learn more about our favorite band.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons we started the show. It's such a learning experience, and we have a really exciting show tonight. We're going to talk about our favorite top five Al Jardine leads. The guy still sounds like he did in the 60s, by the way, if you can
He
ever
sounds
catch him.
great. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. We
That
have
is
our community spotlight tonight with a very
special
guest.
one. It's going to be really great.
We'll keep that under wraps. And our special guest tonight is somebody I've really wanted to talk to for a long time, so I'm really excited to have him on the show.
Hey, Matt.
One of the founding members of King Harvest. What's the song, Greg? Play a little bit of it.
We can get it almost every night. When that moon is big and bright, a supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Classic song.
Well, he was on that record, and
That's
then
right.
he toured with the Beach Boys for a while, and he worked with them on the MIU album and co-wrote a lot of songs. I won't give them all away. We'll save it for his biography, but that is Ron Altbach. He's going to join us later tonight. We're real excited to have. We had Stephen Kalinich last week, and if you didn't catch that show, I just want to remind everybody, all our episodes are posted on our Facebook page
and YouTube.
You can go back and YouTube, and you can go back and see the old ones if you like what you see. If you're new, if it interests you, Stephen Kalinich was really awesome.
Wasn't he great? What a sweet guy, and what a talent. The guy has got so much talent. I mean, it's literally bursting out of his place of residence there. I mean, he's got so much talent all over the place.
Yeah, and then tonight we get to talk to Ron Altbach, another legend in our book. So what a
We're
blessing
really,
it is for us, right?
We're really lucky. Yeah, we are so grateful. And speaking of being grateful, Matt, we have a lot of people to thank out there. We have all the Facebook groups that let us post our show, that engage with us, and we engage. It's really fun. It's a great group of Facebook groups. So if you haven't gone and check out all the different Beach Boy Facebook groups out there, we've got some administrators on that join us on our show, and it's just awesome. Really great group of people. The content that you find on there is really great. The conversations are exciting. The pictures are really great. Some of the pictures they pull out on some of those things, I'm just like, where did you even find that picture? It's pretty amazing. So
for sure.
Thank you to the Facebook groups. Thank you to the message boards. As always, Smiley Smile. I think that got me and Matt going back when I was little, when I was a young dude. But of course, the Beach Boys today, a really fun group over there with Sheriff John Stone, and then our sponsor of the show and our very good friend and the Endless Harmony board. Folks, if you're not a member of the Endless Harmony forum, you haven't been over there, please go check it out. Dirk and the gang over there.
Alan's on here tonight. Yep.
Alan, where have you been, man? Seriously, Alan's been missing, MIA for a while. But
there's Dirk. Hey, Dirk. Dirk just popped on. Good timing.
The good doctor's in the house. So go check out Endless Harmony. Thank you to them. And thank you to you every week. Seriously, I feel like we get new people on every week. We're growing. It's a lot of fun, and we're so excited that you're here with us. Once again, we are not the experts. You are the experts. We're just here to help have a place where we can all hang out. It's kind of like, Matt, if I could give an analogy here. To me, we own the wedding venue, but you guys are the wedding. You know what I mean? We're just a place where we're supplying, where people can come and be smarter than us and tell us
we're
about
the
Beach
wedding
Boys.
The wedding crashers, right?
Okay.
Kind of.
But you said it in the intro, and it's so true. I learn something every week about this show, and talking about Ron and the MIU album, so many things I didn't know that we'll talk about the album, about his time with the Beach. I didn't know Celebration was a thing.
Oh man,
I had no idea.
Almost summer, yeah.
Chat. Am I the only one? Please tell me there's somebody else out there that didn't know Celebration was a thing.
Well, it's back to class. That's
Stop
a good tune.
No, it's not a good. Okay, fine. It's all right. Anybody else in the chat? Please tell me there's at least one person out there to make me feel good about myself that didn't know about Celebration and the Beach Boys. Anyway, so we're really excited.
Also, just wanted to say, and we do want to thank our other sponsor, Endless Summer Quarterly, David Beard. He will be joining us not this week, but probably next time, right? So
that's right. So David's going to be joining us for a full dose the next not next week because we're off, but the week after
we're going to be off. Yeah.
Yeah, we are your home for Feel Flow's information. In fact, we have Alan Boyd and Mark Lynette coming on 2 weeks back to back with David Beard, and they're going to be talking about nothing but the release of Feel Flow. So if you're excited about the Feel Flows box set, which I think we all are, we are the place to be. I'll admit, I'll just say it right now. I'll humble brag here. Seriously, come check it out. Tuesday, this August 17th and August 24th, we're talking about the experts, the guys that are actually putting this thing out. So it's going to be really, really exciting. Hey, if you could do us a favor, if you enjoy the stream, if you like us a little bit, it would be a great help if you could share the stream with your friends, with your family, with other Beach Boy fans. If you have a Facebook page, if you could share it, that would be really, really helpful. Hey, Nick, thanks for liking the stream. Appreciate it. Sharing is always very helpful for us to spread the word and continue to grow as we have. You guys are a big part of that. And once again, it's all about giving people a place to go that maybe are Beach Boy fans that didn't know this existed. Maybe didn't have other people to talk about. Like me and my brother, nobody else in our family really are big Beach Boy fans. I don't have very many friends that are huge Beach Boy fans, so it's nice to have a place to come and kind of nerd out, right, Matt?
No doubt. Yeah, I enjoy it so much. SH Lark 551 said I have Celebration on vinyl, and SH Lark 551 is from New Zealand. So thank you for being here with us.
I saw that. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Awesome. I want to see if any.
Oh, and by the way, Claire had a birthday, I believe, yesterday. So happy birthday, Claire! Yeah, and I don't know if Rainbow's here, but Rainbow's birthday's tomorrow, so we got a couple birthdays here.
Oh, we have to sing happy birthday.
Claire, of course, yeah.
Let's do it. Happy birthday to you, Claire. Happy birthday to you, Claire. Happy birthday, dear Claire. Finish it, Matt.
Happy birthday to you. Oh. Happy birthday.
That was nice. Happy birthday, Claire. Claire is an OG. Claire has watched, I think Claire has been on like every week. And what's extra special about Claire is, I mean, besides the fact that she's an incredible human being, the very special thing about Claire is that she's in the UK, and we really appreciate our UK folks that are in that time zone where it's currently like 2 or 3 in the morning or something. So thank you very much. Happy birthday. Everybody, do me a favor. Wish Claire a happy birthday in the chat. Wish Rainbow a happy birthday. Rainbow, I don't know if Rainbow's on, but happy birthday to Rainbow. I thought it was Eddie's birthday, too, I thought I saw.
The other Eddie, he's not on here yet.
Oh, he's not. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, I knew it was.
But it's his
birthday.
actual birthday today. Yeah. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Also, I want to say hi to Mom. Mom's here.
Hi, Mama.
Too, so.
Awesome, Matt. It's time for one of my favorite parts of the show. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. I'm stoked.
Let's do it. Oh wait, hold on. I messed it up. Okay, let's try that again. And go. The many moods of
You know, not a lot of bands last 60 years and keep going, right? And we're blessed that we have a band. Our favorite band does that in some way or another, right? We get this Feel Flow stuff coming out. We have concerts coming up. But also what comes with 60 years of being a band is going to be a lot of history. Some of it's not so good. Some of it's not so great. You're going to get a lot of records, right? Like say 30 albums from a band, studio albums. Some are liked more than others. And I got to thinking today, I am so excited to talk to our guest tonight, Ron Altbach, because I think you'll attest to this, Greg, but even before we did the show, I have always been a fan of one of the Beach Boys albums that is very often maligned. And I'm not here to ask people why they hate it. I am here to ask people to give it another listen, because this album is jam-packed full of Beach Boy harmony, Mike Love, Brian Wilson collaborations, and great Al Jardine vocals. And that album is the 1978 album MIU, Maharishi International University album. I honestly, I don't get it. I don't get why it's mine. Now, as I did some research this past week, and as I read more about it, it's not as maligned as I thought it was. But among Beach Boys fans and Beach Boys circles, it's still not well loved. But here's a couple things about it that stick out for me. To me, it's the third album in a trilogy of albums Brian Wilson put out after the Brian's Back campaign, right? 15 Big Ones, Love You, and then the MIU album. I think one of the reasons the MIU album is overlooked so much is because it was the last of the three, right? 15 Big Ones is so important to people and historically because it was the first album for the Beach Boys after a long absence. Not only that, but Brian, right? A lot of Brian. Then Love You, of course, was like Pet Sounds in the sense that it was what's on Brian's mind at the time, right? What he was going through. And so there's something really nice about that. MIU kind of goes back to the formula, right? Let's write these happy songs with nice melodies and harmonies. And I think it gets kind of destroyed for that. Oh, there it is, Alan. I knew it. But I have an affinity for MIU. Out of the three albums, I think Love You is the best, but I think MIU is right under Love You, and then 15 Big Ones, if I'm going to say the three trilogy, the Brian Wilson albums. Because the Light album, Brian had some songs on there, but we know he wasn't as involved. So what I'm asking everybody to do is go back and give it a chance. You have Sweet Sunday Kind of Love, a great Carl vocal. You have My Diane, which is a Dennis vocal. It's got that great Phil Spector sound to it. You have Pitter Patter. Again, just a nice, fun song. The album opens with one of my favorite album openers of all time, She's Got Rhythm. And Brian even attempts, I'll say, to get up there and sing all that high falsetto. And that's the last thing I want to say about MIU is that it's really amazing to me that when you listen to 15 Big Ones and then you listen to Love You and Brian's vocals, And then you listen to MIU, it's like Brian's voice totally cleared up. He took a break for a while or something, but he's got some very, very nice vocals on there on Won't You Come Out Tonight, Match Point of Our Love, among others. So throw away everything, because I'll tell you, I always heard the album was awful. Don't listen to it. I'm not saying it's Pet Sounds, right? Not everything has to be Pet Sounds. I'm not saying it's their greatest album, but I'm definitely not saying it's one of their worst albums. So I think, Feel Flows is coming out. So Sunflower, Surf's Up is getting its due now. I hope that in 2028, the 50th year of MIU, it'll get its due as well. So I ask everybody to give it another shot. I know some of the experts on here have probably listened to it a billion times, but if you're new and don't know it that well, I'd really be interested to know what you think about it. It's an album that grows on me every day. I just crank Pitter Patter. Mike comes in with that bass. Listen to the rain. It's, it just gets me. So that's what I have to say. Take a listen to MIU again.
The many moods of man. All right. Well, what do you think about that? I'll give my thoughts, and then let's go over to the chat, because we got some time here before we welcome on our community spotlight folk. Matt, so you kind of MIU, in terms of those 3 records that came out, kind of 15 Big Ones, Love You, MIU. You're putting MIU as kind of number 2 ranked in there?
I'm putting number 2 and almost like 1B. Like, I like it that much. Love You. Love You to me is better because it's just more like authentic, Brian at the time, mm-hmm. and Brian driven and I know MIU, I know the history. The band was a little bit split up. They had the fight on the tarmac. I know we don't talk about all that stuff, but I know that it was more of an album kind of survived. They went to Iowa to do it, to get some peace. I know there's not a big presence of Carl and Dennis on the album, but I'm just talking about the songs. You can sing to them, you can harmonize, and I like the sound. I like the laid back.
Matt, which one do you sing to?
I sing Pitter Patter. I sing Match Point before I go play a tennis match. It gets
That's
me
right.
moved,
nice.
so.
Good job. Hey, real quick, hello to Catherine and hello to Patty. Welcome joining us. Happy to have
hello.
You folks on. Welcome. Hey, Lee. Hey, Bill. Hi, Cindy. Everybody, we're so happy that you're on here. We're talking about my brother Matt's hot take here that MIU is one. What would you say the hot take is, though? It's not necessarily a hot take as much as he wants folks to give it another listen because he thinks it has more value.
I'm not saying anything necessarily controversial. I'm not going to say it's better than Pet Sounds or anything. But if there would be a bigger point to it, would be does everything have to be that way? Does it always have to be progressive and everything? Can't it just be a nice album with some nice songs and for what it is, right? Okay, their earlier albums are like that, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What if we ask the question? All right, chat, here's the question then. What is it about MIU that makes it not really as popular as an album? I mean, Love You is definitely quirky, but it's a lot more popular, why I guess the question is why is MIU really not looked at as much as a really, really great product from the Beach Boys?
Yeah, and I kind of gave my opinion on that while we're waiting for answers. I think 15 Big Ones stole the spotlight because it was the Brian's Back campaign, and then Love You was the follow-up with all the original songs. Yeah. And actually, Brian was working on another album called Adult Child that wasn't released, and he wrote a lot of those swing tunes. He wrote some. There's one on there really good called It's Over Now and Still I Dream of It. I like those songs a lot. Everyone Wants to Live, I think. There's a bunch of them on there that are pretty good, but that album wasn't released, and then as a result, MIU was. And, of course, the goal in MIU was to make, again, songs that were more commercial and stuff. Yeah. And obviously it didn't do well commercially, but it didn't have that Brian. It was almost like Pet Sounds to Smile, like Love You to Adult Child. Not the same music, but the same kind of thing, right? Brian going, and then Brian didn't really kind of deliver. So the Beach Boys kind of came back and did their own thing. Now, I will say, though, Brian wrote or co-wrote most of the songs on that album. And again, one great one for me is My Diane. If you really listen to the production in that, Brian's up on those harmonies at the end of I love my Diane. He's up there and it sounds like he did in the 60s. So I'm just really surprised that I guess I'm surprised a little bit too that it doesn't get more attention. And so I'm just saying, I hope it gets more, and I hope you all will give it another shot.
Okay, well let's go to the chat and see what they have to say. Let's go all the way back up here. Nolan Carr says, "Come go with me and My Diane, the only two songs from MIU." Wow. Okay. So Slim Pickens there. Tom Jones, I dig Match Point of Our Love, so Tom likes it. Don says MIU's in the middle of the pile for him. Steve Sanderson says most is unimpressive. Claire says, I think MIU is one of the ones I haven't paid all that much attention to out of all of them. Claire, I want to know why. It's an honest question, a serious question. Why is that? I wonder why. Alan, at least you tried, Matt. So good college try, Matt, on trying to get people to listen to MIU. Nick on Facebook. I have always loved Match Point. Such a great one with Brian's sweet voice. Yeah, Brian's vocal on MIU is really pleasant. I have to say that. Sean O'Grady says, looking forward to a song by song review of MIU on this show. Yeah, we'll have to do an MIU.
We will.
You have to take the lead on that one, Jake. We'll do an MIU album breakdown. I love it. So Taylor says he heard Pitter Patter today on Sirius 105. I love that Sirius channel. Super cool. Don says Pet Sounds, then Beach Boys today. Oh, I'm talking about other albums here. Cindy says, I read in a book that Dennis hated it. Is that true, Matt? Is that true, chat? Dennis hated it?
I think he hated the idea of it because he was in a fight with Mike at the time. I'm not so sure he hated all the music on it. I mean, he sang on it, right? It's kind of like when we say Mike hated Smile, but Mike sang on it, right?
Yeah, I just watched a video of him today recording My Diane.
Yeah, My Diane, yeah.
Interesting. I'm not saying that's not true, by the way. I don't know.
Right.
Lee Marshall on Facebook, Pitter Patter is very nice. Many didn't want throwbacks, though. We were spoiled by forward thinking. Then it stopped. Not what Al wanted, maybe? Yeah, interesting. Sid on YouTube says MIU is really great. Dennis hates it. That's interesting. So a couple takes there on Dennis. Kyle on Facebook. Hey Kyle, I feel like overall the lyrics are pretty weak on MIU. You know what, Kyle?
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I really think that lyrically, I think it's a little bit of a step back. Although Love You is kind of weird and quirky a little bit.
They got a little in trouble with the lyrics because a lot of those songs were written for a Christmas album that they kind of abandoned, and then they just they just changed the songs. They already had the song written, so they had to come up with some lyrics, instead of it growing organically,
Yeah, interesting. Don says, Matt, you need to stick to your guns by saying 63 to 66 were their best years, album-wise.
Well, I still say that. I'm just saying MIU's not this terrible piece of garbage that I've read about. That's all.
Bill Larson on Facebook. Melodically, it's really as good as many Beach Boy LPs. Match Point, My Diane, Bells of Paris.
Yeah.
Joe Winters didn't know Dennis didn't like MIU. I didn't know that either, Joe. So we're both learning things interesting here. Let's see. Denise. Hi, Denise. On
Denise.
Facebook. There's a few albums I had to warm up to, so I'll give MIU another chance just for you, Matt. Oh, hey, you know what, Matt? That's a good take right there. Russ on Facebook. Hey, Russ. The engineering, especially the drums, is horrible on many of the tracks. Additionally, a lot of the singing right from the first note is pretty pitchy. Yeah, I think for me, it's not necessarily the some of the vocal takes to me are a little bit unpolished. I'm not really sure. But once again, I don't know if it's just they're getting older. It's a different sound that you have to get used to. But it's all good stuff. Owen Hassel says, how would you rank MIU among the Beach Boys 70s albums? Matt, where would you rank that?
Oh, man. That's where it would be controversial.
That's a really good one. We should do that as a poll. That's a really good poll. Rank the Beach Boys 70s albums?
It's kind of hard because it really depends on what your unit of measurement is, right?
Well,
I mean, if I just want to put on an album and not have to change anything except for there's one song I skip over on MIU. I'm not going to lie. We all know what that song is. So,
yeah, okay. So, Matt, I have two questions for you. Number one, and you just have to answer yes or no. I'm putting you on the spot. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Is MIU better than Surf's Up?
Yes.
Wow.
In my opinion, yeah.
Oh, boy.
But it depends on what you mean by better. I mean, as a progressive album, no. As a listening experience for me, yes. So that's what I mean. It depends on what you mean.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, and number two, is it possible for an album to be overlooked because of one song? And we all know what that one song is, right? Hey, Little Tomboy.
Yeah.
Little Tomboy completely ruins that whole album for me for so many reasons. it's just it's just a weird
And you know what?
song,
What bothers me about it is that he wrote "Hey Little Tomboy" for Adult Child. It wasn't even supposed to be on MIU. It didn't come then, and I wish they had left it off.
Well, he said in an interview it was supposed to be on "Love You," right? Or I think, or something like that too. It could have been
the Adult Child, I think. But well, he was writing about it. Yeah, you're right. In that interview, he's talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. Let's keep going to the chat. Chat, what do you have to say?
Dirk wants to have what I'm smoking.
Schlarky. By the way, Schlark, we're just going to call you Schlarky551. Well, my Diane wasn't recorded during the MIU sessions. Oh.
Yeah, it could have been earlier. Yeah, probably earlier.
I didn't know that, but Matt, you had me watch that video today. What video did you have me watch where Dennis is recording in the studio? What is that?
I think it was around that time. I don't think he recorded it in Iowa, but it was for the next album. You know what I mean?
Well, Schlarky knows more than we do, so there's that. So Tom says My Dan was recorded at Brothers Studios. I don't think Carl and Dennis went to Iowa. Really?
I think Carl did. I think actually Carl did, but not a lot, because in that video we saw that they're in Iowa there. So I think
this
Carl
is so
did go.
Interesting. Yeah, so maybe is that maybe a reason why people don't listen to it as much, is because it doesn't have as much Wilson on it?
As much Carl and Dennis. I mean, it's got a lot of Brian on it. That's the thing. But
to be fair, Carl and Dennis, those two tunes are maybe my favorite tracks on the album. "Sweet Sunday Kind of Love" and
My Diane.
And "My Diane." Can we do, Matt? Can you keep reading the chat here? And I want to play a little bit of "Sweet Sunday Kind of Love," get people warmed up to that tune, because that's a great song.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say "Surf's Up" is way better than MIU. Lee, Steve, Dirk. I can't read that one. D. Bresh says MIU is bad. Karen says, I love Hey Little Tomboy, but I was a tomboy. Bill Larson says, take away the lyrics and Hey Little Tomboy isn't half bad. Yeah, the music's cool on it for sure. Go ahead. Carl was in Iowa for one weekend. There you go. So he was there, but not very much. Yeah. That's what Alan said.
Let's do some MIU just for fun. There's something special about it, just what I can't quite say. But there's no doubt that it's different from any other day. There are no words to exactly describe what I'm thinking of. It's just a sweet Sunday kind of love. Read the funnies together and watch some TV too. You can do something for me and I'll do the same for you. We'll fill the hours with things that we both would like to do. Spending a sweet Sunday loving you. That's probably my favorite song on the album. It's pretty good. And then what's the one that Brian sings? His voice is awesome.
Won't you come out tonight, little girl? Won't you come out
tonight? Brian's voice is so different from "Love You." It's like it's like old Brian on that one. It sounds super cool.
And I'd like to know that from the experts. Maybe when we talk about it later on Endless Harmony Forum, cat's out of the bag. That's what I'm going to talk about. But is that why was Brian's vocal so much better there? Like, was it a put on was he trying to sound gruff in those other albums? Because it really is kind of smooth for him, it's very different.
Brian's vocal on that whole record is really smooth. It's
so I wonder, that's what I wonder, if it was a put on. Also, I failed to mention Winds of Change, which I really like to end the album. At the end of that song, they say, won't last forever. Al and Brian say it, just like in When I Grew Up to Be a Man, they do a back and forth. And Ron Altbach wrote that one too. So
yeah, very cool stuff. Hey, Allison's in the house. Hey, Allison, no worries. Glad you could join us. Royce, thank you for the kind words. Royce Eddings in the house. Appreciate it. Royce says, I need to get both Pet Sounds and Beach Boys today. About ready for another Beach Boys show. The views were some of the best of all. Man, I'm excited that they're back touring again. I think it's really excited. So Al says Brian laid off the cigarettes during MIU. That kind of sounds like it may be may be true there. So Schlarky551 says, I think he was trying to sound like Randy Newman and Frank Sinatra. Yeah, kind of. He's definitely going for a certain sound on there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our community spotlight. Matt, are you ready for this one? This is going to be really fun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the show the wonderful, the beautiful Mrs. Joanne Figueroa. Joanne, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh,
hi.
So
Welcome.
Excited
Great
to
see
talk
you.
to you.
Yay!
Awesome. Everybody, how about some welcomes in the chat for our good friend Joanne Figueroa. So excited to have you on here with us. What an honor. What an honor to have you on. I know you've been in the chat a couple times, but we finally, after bugging you a million times and talking to your PR people, they finally let us have access to you, and I'm so grateful. So, Joanne, So we have to ask you our obligatory Beach Boy questions, but we actually have probably a little bit more to ask, simply because obviously your relationship with Bobby, right? I mean, that's such a big deal, and even before Bobby, I didn't know how much you were involved with the group and going to shows and stuff. So we have so much to ask you, and so we allotted a little bit more time. I hope you can give us a little bit. So if we get boring, you let us know.
I can fill it all.
Yeah, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be all right. So Joanne, by the way, lots of hearts and hi and Joanne's in the chat for you.
Hi, guys.
So Joanne, for those of you that don't know, Joanne is married to Bobby Figueroa, and Bobby was a drummer for the Beach Boys in the 70s and 80s, and spent a long time. And I think a lot of the videos, a lot of the records that you hear from that time period feature Bobby on the drums.
Big ones too. Nebworth, Live Aid, those big shows.
Big shows, and we're so grateful. We've had Bobby on before, but we've never gotten a chance to talk with Joanne, so we're really excited to talk with her tonight. Joanne, your favorite your favorite Beach Boys song.
Oh God, that is just really too hard to answer, because anything that has Carl Wilson's voice on it, I love it.
Oh, well,
me too.
You're like my brother, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, how about let me ask you this: before spending time with the Beach Boys on the road and kind of going to their shows and hanging out, were you a Beach Boy fan before that? Like, how long had you been a Beach Boy fan before that? What was it that clicked in for you to become a fan?
Since 1979,
Awesome.
I had a girlfriend who we were, I think, about 11 or 12, and her mom wouldn't only let her listen to 60s music because she was very, very religious and very straightforward, and she didn't want her to listen to anything new. So she had Endless Summer, and her aunt had given it to her. So we played it one night constantly, and then her mom made us stop playing the Beach Boys because we played it so often. So she came to my house and we'd listen at my house. So that's where that all started. So yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Endless Summer, yeah.
Okay, how about, do you have a favorite track from Endless Summer on there, or do you have like a? Yeah, I bet you probably. Okay, all right, let's go. What's that one?
Yeah. I always loved California Girls on there because it just sounded so strong when it comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just kind of takes you all out. I mean, I listened to every side, but I think side 4 was my favorite of all of them. So I think, I like the newer version of Help Me Rhonda too. So
yeah,
I know some people like the older one. I like the newer one. So
I love it. I love it. How about a favorite album? Do you have an album you like to throw on every once in a while? Maybe not. I mean, Pet Sounds is everyone's favorite, it seems, and I guess that makes sense. But do you have one, maybe not Pet Sounds, that you like to listen to?
You're not going to be surprised by this. Come on.
I'm ready.
It's LA Light.
Yeah, the Light album.
Yeah. My brother and I were just talking about that because my brother Matt loves the MIU album, and afterwards came the Light album, and we were talking about the two albums. I love the Light album, and it's because of this show, Joanne, that I got into the Light album. I started hearing like Carl on Baby Blue and Angel Come Home, Dennis. Yeah, I'm like, why are these albums not more, a little bit more popular in their catalog? So I'm so glad you said that, and it's so neat. So tell us the story, if you don't mind. Can you tell us the story of how you went from Beach Boy fan listening to Endless Harmony, and then all of a sudden you're on the road talking? And by the way, if you have, by the way, everyone, real quick, just a quick plug. If you haven't checked out Joanne's incredible blog, it's on our Beach Boys group message board right now. Not message board, or what would we call that?
Facebook post
our board.
or whatever, our
yeah,
page,
we posted it on our
group,
Facebook group. Go check it out. To me, it's better than anything that's been put out in the last 10 years in terms of what's been written about the Beach Boys. It is so insightful and so much fun to read. I loved it. So can you kind of take us on the journey from Endless Harmony, just listening to the Beach Boys, and then all of a sudden you're hanging out with Bobby and Jeff and Carl?
Yeah, well, that was really a fluke. I mean, had I not met those girls at Pine Knob, I would not be here right now, actually sitting in our house.
Crazy,
so,
right?
I don't know. I always tell everybody that I wouldn't know Bobby if it wasn't for Carl, because Carl, I fell madly in love with Carl at the first show I ever saw him at, and I was like, "Who is this man? I just got to meet him once,"
Awesome.
And so I met him, and of course, the girls I traveled with, they asked if I wanted to go again, and I want to go again. So I just kept going with them, and Bobby was let go in 1988, and I didn't see him again until the Carl Wilson Foundation in 2001. And we reconnected there. And I tell everybody again, I go, see, Carl wanted us together because we reconnected at his foundation.
Wow. That is really awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah. Carl would think that's funny too, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get everything away, but you said something in one of the stories I was reading about. There was kind of a joke he had that he wouldn't forget your name. So he'd always kind of say like, "Hi, Joanne," like that. It's kind of how I read it anyway. Is that true?
He would do that. He would, like, sometimes I'd be walking in the hotel or something, and he'd sneak up on you. He would do that. Because Carl wasn't always sweet and innocent and everything. He had a big jokey side, and he would jump out at you and go, "Joanne!" And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I mean, I'd like jump like a mile because he would do that to me out of nowhere, especially if it was in the gym or the pool area or something, because he'd see you coming and he'd just wait and he'd just hide. And then he'd jump out at you, scream your name or something like that. So in later years, it's not in any of my journals, but there was a night we were both in the gym together, and he was on the treadmill and I was on the Stairmaster, and I'm trying to talk to him while I'm doing this exercise, and he's just, running, no problem. He has no problem. I'm like dying. And I fell off the Stairmaster or whatever it is. And he just looks at me and he goes, "Well, Joanne, that's really very clever of you. You think I'm going to come down there and pick you up?" I go, "Don't you dare." But I mean, he just did stuff like that. He's fun. He had a really wicked sense of humor. Most people think, "Oh, he's so sweet and innocent." Oh no, he had a really wicked sense of humor.
That's neat. That's a neat story. Yeah.
Yeah, you totally nailed it. When I read that story as well on your blog, it's funny how reading a little thing like that and how impactful it is, and that honestly should give you I think you should do more. If you have more that you can share, I think it's like a treasure to us. Because for me, to me, Carl Wilson has always been. I've never met him. I never got to see him ever. Like it was, I was little when he passed away. So to me, he's always been quiet, soft spoken. And then when I hear stories on your blog about how funny he was and joking around, you're just like, oh, that is so much fun. Like you love to learn more about these people that
the human side of it. We sometimes we make them gods or we make them all this, so it's neat to hear their human sides. Can you tell us a little bit about Brian or Al or any of the other Beach Boys?
Well, Brian wasn't around that much. I did get to see him a few times. Brian, the first time I met Brian, he was actually very chatty, very funny. He was real heavy back then. It was in 1982. And he kind of still, even then, wanted to blend in with the background. He didn't, he talked to you like we were all standing there waiting, with our all autograph books and everything. And he came right up to us. And he signed things. The only thing he didn't want was us to take a photo of him, because I think he was very what's the word? I think he was very
conscious.
aware of his weight,
Yeah.
and
okay.
Yeah.
he wasn't comfortable in his skin. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
And that's just the impression I got. But he was standing there telling us jokes, and I mean, that was my first interaction with Brian Wilson.
I love that.
And then next time I saw him, he was a little more withdrawn. That was in 1983, right before they did the Atlantic City show. Brian just kind of wanted to meld into the background. I think Landy was around then, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So you could tell the difference though in his personality.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What if we went down the list of Beach Boys? Can you give us like a positive, fun experience? Do you have something for each of them?
You don't want me to be like Carly?
We've learned, Joanne. We've learned our lesson. We need to frame things a little bit more.
He told us when he was out, he's like, "There's some stories I can't tell you on the show," or something like that.
Yeah, he told it. He told how he saw it, and that's valuable, right? I mean, everybody has a different experience, but
everybody has a different experience.
Would you be able to, if we were to go through the Beach Boys, would you be able to give us a fun something from each one, maybe from your experience?
So
we're putting you on the spot. It's okay if you don't, because we can move on. We got more questions.
Yeah, I might have to think about it for a second, but
okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Well, we got Carl and Brian out of the way, so
okay.
Easy on those.
Okay, yeah, those are. I love the Carl stuff. And once again, everyone, if you want more of this, because it is awesome, Joanne has a blog and it's on our Facebook group right now. So go check it out. It really is phenomenal. Okay, how about Al Jardine?
Al Jardine, inquisitive, very inquisitive. Bobby having been Al's drummer for the Endless Summer Band, I spent a lot of time with Al. So Al always wants to know details about everything. You look at something in paper and he'll go, I wonder why that happened or something like that. And you're like, I don't know. Let's find out, and he always wants to know everything about it. So inquisitive, I would say. Yeah.
That's good. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's got like Matt. I kind of feel you can kind of get
that,
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? I've never met Al, and we've never talked to him or anything, but that kind of makes sense, right? Okay, how about Mike Love?
Mike, gentleman, actually. I have never had a bad encounter with Mike Love in my entire life.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Always holding doors open. He never remembers my name, but he always remembers who I am.
Yeah.
He's been seeing me since I was a little girl. So, he knows the face. He just doesn't always remember the name. Now he just calls me Mrs. Figgy now.
Oh, I love it.
But but he's always been a gentleman. So I will say gentleman. So.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. How about Bruce Johnson?
Bruce and I have had our ups and downs over the years. We have finally buried the hatchet. I would say Bruce is, that's a good one.
When did you first? Can you tell us about the story you first met Bruce? That was kind of right in the elevator, right? Because was that the first time you ever talked to Bruce?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
Well, I saw Bruce 2 years ago. We went to see the Beach Boys, and we were backstage. I just kind of let Bruce say. I just said to him, I said, you and I always haven't had our good moments. He goes, I know. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I have my moods. So Moody, how about Moody?
Moody.
But he did. He apologized to me because we had good moments. We've had bad moments.
Well, it's you have such an interesting perspective on all of this, because I think there's fans like me and my brother, right, where we see them maybe once a year if we're lucky, maybe once every 5 years, and you're catching them when they're singing and on stage. So it's
you're
like
seeing their entertainment side, right?
What's really What's really interesting, and it's almost like I think if someone were to follow me around after my job when I'm tired and we've done 4 or 5 shows in a row or something, and I'm like, I'm just getting done, I'm just getting home.
Yeah.
I think that they would probably catch a very different side of me. And I think that's what's so brilliant and engaging about your blog is you're getting firsthand accounts of how these guys were outside of the stage. And it's just really, it's really neat. So all that to say, Moody that's amazing that it's like I hope
Bruce
someone
would agree with me on that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I hope if someone were to be able to document my life completely, I hope if they said Moody at the end of it, I would be very grateful. You know what I mean? Because we all have, I mean, especially during our work, I mean, we're tired and we're giving, especially those guys giving everything they had to the audience, you know?
Well, if you read it too, you can see I'm not always in a good mood every day either in that blog. You know, I'm one to talk. Yeah. But, you know, if you want a positive thing about Bruce, I would say talented, because he is very talented. He knows what he's doing. You know, he definitely knows what he's doing. So, yeah.
No doubt. So was there any, this is kind of not gossipy, but this is a little bit, you don't have to answer this. Was there any sort of flirting with Bobby before you had talked to him again when you met him in 2001? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and he's going to kill me for saying this, but he was a big womanizer his whole life. You know what I mean? So
he's a drummer with the Beach Boys, of course.
Yes, of course.
It's like part of the job almost.
I was going to say that was in the job description.
How many girls I saw him with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're applying for the job of Dennis Wilson, you probably should be at least a little good. You probably should be at least a little ready to take on that responsibility.
I've heard some of his Dennis and Bobby stories, and they probably will never ever be published anywhere because they're so bad.
That's an after-hour show, man.
Yeah, after-hour show, right.
Oh yeah.
So, can you tell us the story of you guys kind of meeting again in 2001? Was it? Oh my gosh, I recognize you. We hit it off right away. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I was helping Betty Calignan with the concert that night at the El Rey Theater, which is where they were doing with Brian and who was there that night? Somebody else was there. Somebody else was headlining with Brian, and she needed help seating everybody. So that's where I ran into Gina again. I hadn't seen Gina since Carl passed away. So I was sitting the Martins and the Arnezes, and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and he goes, "Hi," and I go, "Oh my God, hi!" And he goes, "Can't believe you're here." I go, "I can't believe you're here." So it was just one of those things. And then a year went by, and then we saw each other again at the next one.
Yeah.
And we exchanged emails. And I was actually divorced at the time, so you know, we kept in touch that whole year. And then in 2003, he was doing a show with Ricky Martin. Cool. And I drove down there to see him, and that's when it all happened. So
wow,
that's
how
really cool.
Fun is that? Yeah. did he have any good pickup lines or anything, or what? Is it pretty smooth?
According to him, he doesn't need a pickup line.
All he has to say is, I was a drummer for the Beach Boys, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Well, I tell you, Joey, we had so much fun with Bobby on. It was such an honor to talk with him. And,
we want to have him back again.
Yeah. He really is fantastic. He really is.
Joey, and speaking of drummers, did you ever? I know it was later when you got into the Beach Boys. Did you ever get to meet Dennis?
Oh yeah, Dennis. Yeah. Sorry, we forgot to ask. How did we forget Dennis?
Yeah, it's in the blog. I met Dennis a few times. I actually was very friendly with Sean. Sean and I were pretty close in age, and I think she felt kind of alone on the road, you know, and I just got the impression, because she always was talking to me, and I really thought that was nice.
Yeah.
But I just felt like she was kind of a lonely soul. So I always spent time to talk to her, you know, and we were supposed to have lunch together one time, and things happened and it didn't happen. And she was kind of bummed out about it. She told me later, she goes, "Oh, I wish we would have had lunch." She goes, "I feel like I need a girl talk." And I go, "Oh,
that's nice."
Like,
yeah.
So I saw Dennis. Dennis was kind of my protector. Dennis gave me a shirt, not directly. He had this guy named Blake that handled him. I think he was kind of his overseer. Yeah. And one night, these girls were kind of being rude to me. You know, I was sitting outside in the hallway, and they were kind of being nasty, being really, you know, snide and stuff. And you know, Dennis comes out there, and Dennis hated seeing people look, shitty, you know, and I'm just sitting there, and he's like looking at me like, "What's your problem?" You know, and I just like these girls. And I just like, when he looks over at him, he's like, they're thinking they're going to get lucky with Dennis Wilson. And it's like, he's just like, ugh. And then he looks at me and he goes, Dennis, now just smile, God damn it. And he walks away and I'm like, okay. Next day I got a shirt. Like came up and gave me a shirt.
That's really sweet.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
He said, Dennis wanted you to have this. And
Dennis really nice.
Dennis would stand over in the corner and not let me see that he knew I was getting it. So yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
Was it like a Beach Boys shirt or something?
Yeah, it was a shirt he wore the night before.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's still really smelly and gross. Oh yeah, that's cool.
It was actually still a little sweaty. Yeah,
I love it. I think that's pretty cool.
Like drain it out. Yeah,
I love it. Pretty cool.
Well, that's what Bobby said. He said he changed shirts all the time, so he would give away his shirts.
So
oh, I see. Yeah,
Joanne, please don't answer specifics on this one because we want to keep things positive and light, obviously. Yeah. But I'm interested to know, being that close to the band for that period of time, especially kind of off the stage, did you ever get to see any drama? Like, did you see any band, like things going on between the band that, because they're brothers, right? And they're cousins. And it's like, we know that my brother and I, we don't get along sometimes,
Yeah. Not a lot.
That's great.
A couple things, there's a couple things, but it was nothing just like, how everybody talks about Mike and Dennis hating each other and with Sean and everything. I actually experienced a moment in one place where Sean had her arm around Mike and he was talking to her and Dennis was standing right there. There was no drama.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, oh, there's always drama. No, there wasn't.
Joanne, it's funny you say that. You always wonder, well, it's like clicks. It's like today, clicks sells, right? I mean, the more people can read, the more eyes you get on something. And you kind of wonder. And that's why it's so nice and refreshing to hear your honest take about your experience. And once again, people, if you haven't checked out her blog, do it right now. It is so cool. That's why.
I have to tell you guys real quick though.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote me today and said that they were a little upset with Jeff Foskett after this blog. I just want to say that I was 17, Jeff was 28. Yeah. So we were really immature people back then.
Yeah.
We grew up since then and we've actually maintained a regular friendship, not like the one in the blog. So
Joanne, you're so right. That's how you have to read those. You have to read those as, what was I doing when I was 21? And
exactly.
if my parents or if anybody I knew that loved me today ever knew the things that I was doing when I was 21, I know that, like, please don't read anything about me when I was 21, And so it's people grow up, people, you live, So I think it's honest and it's really thoughtful and it's really interesting as huge Beach Boy nerds, It's really fun to read.
Thank you. I got about another year left, I think, to write. So, and I think that's it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Are you catching any shows out your way? Any Beach Boys or Brian Wilson shows coming up? You're gonna go to?
Not anytime soon. I think we're just not ready to go back yet. We're just not ready to hit the concert scene yet. Bobby's got a gig at the end of the month.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis with California Surf, but that's gonna be like the first show since this whole pandemic started, So
yeah, it's tough. By the way, we'll take a couple questions from the chat. By the way, my mom is watching, so Mom, no, there is not anything from when I was 21 that you don't know about. Everything was.
Moms know everything.
I know. Well, Mom, I was.
Really either means she didn't know or she didn't believe you when you said she doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll pretend that she doesn't believe me and I was lying. So, Joanne, do you mind if we take a couple questions from the chat before we let you go? How about Greg Shady? How about a Billy Hinchy story? And by the way, chat, if you have questions for Joanne, now would be a great time. How about a good Billy Hinchy story? Or just your experiences with Billy.
Billy and I have our ups and downs too. Trust me.
Yeah.
I've known Billy forever, and with him being in the Ricky Martin band and everything too. I know. I've had fun with Billy. We've all done some dumb things, and I don't have anything because Billy was also kind of a loner too.
Yeah.
He didn't go out a whole lot and everything, but you know, really, he was good for a laugh and everything. So
yeah, obviously, really, really talented
Sorry.
guy. How about
Sorry, no more.
Leslie wants to know, Joanne, did you ever meet Adrian Baker?
Oh yeah, lots. Adrian was with the band the very first time I met them. So they were carrying both Jeff Bosquet and Adrian Baker at that point.
Oh, what a cool band. Yeah, great lineup.
So I met Adrian, and then I met Adrian again when he came back to the band in the early 90s. And then of course, he's played with Bobby with California Surf. So
awesome.
Yeah, I love Adrian. He's great.
Awesome.
Cool.
A couple more here. Patty says, Joanne, how old were you when you first met the Beach Boys?
15.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
That is cool.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Taylor says Billy is good for corny jokes. He's got some really funny corny jokes on his show that he has on Saturday nights. They're great. I love them. I think they're awesome.
Billy's like a mushroom. He's a fun guy, right?
Stop. No. No, that's not good.
Whatever you do, don't ask him about who let the dogs out. You'll hear about it for days.
Okay. Next show
if we ever talk to him, we won't.
I know.
We
will ask him. So, Joanne, before we let you go, can you kind of can we expect, by the way, everybody, go check out this blog. It is awesome. I don't want to force you or anything, but is there anything else coming in terms of that? Because it really is a fun read, and we'd love to hear more if you have it.
Yeah, there's more coming. I'm in 1985 right now. It's kind of a quiet year for everybody, but
sure.
There's some interesting stuff coming in 1986. And I didn't journal in 1987, but there's going to be one story I tell because Betty Clignan Wright is going to make me do it because it's the funniest thing she ever remembers, and it's when I went to the wrong concert.
No way.
I thought I was going to a Beach Boy concert. I went to a Rat and Poison concert, and I demanded my way backstage because I thought I was at the Beach Boy concert, and I got backstage because they were terrified of me.
No way.
And I heard about it from the band. I heard about it from the band for weeks.
That's funny. A little bit different environment, huh? I would assume.
Yeah, I should have noticed it as soon as I got there, but I was just so set on getting there. So,
I love it. Well, Joey, I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. What an honor to have you on. Everyone, once again, in our Facebook group, please go check out Joanne's blog about her time with the Beach Boys. It's really incredible. And please say hello to Bobby for us, and please thank him again for coming out. Thank you both for giving us your time.
He's on a film set right now. Otherwise, he'd be here. So
awesome.
Awesome. And thank you for all your support. You're always checking into our show.
Thank you for
supporting
appreciate
us.
It. Yeah. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right,
thank you.
Take care now.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That was awesome.
Man, that was really cool. I could talk with her forever. I have so many questions.
I read a few of those. I'm going to read more, every night probably. They're really interesting. It's just like reading a story, but it's all true stuff, So if you haven't seen that, y'all check it out. It's really cool. And
just chat with Ron real quick. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting Ron ready to come on here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let me switch the overlays here. Yeah, so once again, if you haven't checked out the blog that's on so we have a Facebook group among the many awesome groups out there. The Beach Boys Talk has a group, and it's where we put our polls for the week. And we're going to talk about our favorite Al Jardine lead vocals here in a little bit. But
that was our poll this past week. There was an overwhelming winner, but there were some interesting choices, in the top 5. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, if you go to our Facebook group, you can check out Joanne's blog. It's really, really interesting. Her time with the Beach Boys. But
also, if you check on our page, I did it at the beginning. Louis sent me a note. There's another page that says Best Album of the '60s, and it's between Pet Sounds and a Bob Dylan album. So we put that on there. Go vote for Pet Sounds.
There's a really funny kind of irreverent Facebook group called the Beach Boys Surf Posting, and they post some pretty funny stuff on there. I think Louis is a part of that. But okay, I think it's time. Let's see. Hi, Ron. Are you there?
I am. I thought you guys weren't going to let me in. I was.
Hold on. We got to fix your video here. Hold on. Let's see.
Welcome to Beach Boys
Talk. I feel insecure.
Oh, here, hold on. Sorry, Ron, I got to fix things here. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so honored to have on our show the incredible Ron Altbach. Ron, thank you so much for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I like your show. You know, I tune in every once in a while, and I tune out when I tune out when they start criticizing Mike, though. You know.
Oh, hey, look, it's very hard.
We try not to do that.
We try. It's hard to navigate. I promise. It's not easy.
I know. I've been living with it well, I started with those guys in 1974, so it's wow.
You have literally been living with it for quite a while. Well, we're honored.
We're really honored to have you here. Yeah.
Yeah, we are so honored, and so many questions to ask you, not only about the Beach Boys, but your time obviously with King Harvest, and we're both New York boys here, so I know you spent some time in Ithaca, so we got a lot to ask you, and if.
Wait, I got to ask you something first.
Oh, yeah, please.
I saw you playing Dancing in the Moonlight and singing. You got a good voice. And it was
thank you.
It was fun to listen to. I mean, and one day we'll get together. I'll show you. Just missed a couple subtleties, but it's very good, though.
I have
pretty
no
close.
doubt. I have no doubt about that. Yeah.
Pretty damn close.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's an amazing tune. So, I think just about every band I've ever been in, that's on the list of tunes that we play, and for good reason. It's an absolute classic, and it's funny. I've never actually spent the time to go in and learn the the actual part, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing keyboard part. It's like really well thought out. The phrasing's really nice, and. No, it's a great tune. I appreciate the kind words. It was a hack job.
Here's what's interesting. One of my bandmates, Rod Novak, I have no idea if he's watching. Of course, he knows all these stories, and he's heard me tell them, and I've heard him tell them. And surprisingly, we're pretty similar in the way we tell them. So we're not, neither one of us exaggerating too much. But he keeps track of our plays. King Harvest. And between King Harvest and Top Loader, which had enormous hit,
right,
we're approaching 1 billion streams.
Wow,
oh my God,
that's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah,
now,
that's like really biblical. That's biblical level. There is what we're talking.
Now the good news is that's great for Sherman Kelly, who wrote the song. But King Harvest is only 20% of that or something like that, 25%.
Right.
But still not too bad, not too shabby, right?
That's
awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, so Ron, we have a lot of hellos in the chat for you. Obviously, a lot of love here and a lot of excitement around you coming on the show. So we're so honored. We want to start by asking you some obligatory guest Beach Boy questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
But then I promise we'll get to some more interesting questions, hopefully, for you. But I'm sorry, before we do that, Matt, do you want to introduce our guest to our audience here?
Yeah, to our audience, we are so excited and happy to have Ron Altbach here. He's a classically trained pianist, songwriter who co-founded the rock band King Harvest. He played the Wurlitzer electric piano on the intro. That's the one that Greg was playing. Yeah. He later became a session keyboardist for the Beach Boys. He also wrote songs for the group, among them Lady Linda, Winds of Change.
Yeah.
She's Got Rhythm. Also Bells of Paris. And he co-produced the album MIU, which I love, with Al Jardine. And then also another interesting thing we want to ask you about tonight, but you were also a member of the band Celebration. With Mike Love and Al, and I think some of your bandmates from King Harvest as well. Yep. So we're just so happy to have you here. You have a big part of Beach Boy history, and thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, I would say that's the Wikipedia. Wikipedia is pretty tough. They won't let you change much. But I was being described as a session keyboardist is kind of weird, because I actually joined I was kind of the utility man on stage. So I started touring with them in around October of 1974, and I'll tell you that story.
Oh wow!
When you asked me, but it's a pretty good story. It's pretty
awesome.
Good
yeah.
Okay, we do have two of our very good friends of the show that wanted to say hi to you. When they found out that you were coming on our show, they said we have to say hi. So our good friend Stephen Kalinich, I don't know if you remember Stephen.
Sure, of course.
He wanted to say. He says, please tell hi. And our very good friend Fred Vale wanted us to.
Oh,
make sure
well,
to say hi
I was thinking about. I almost sent Fred the link to tonight's show because I thought he'd have fun. Fred, if you're listening or if you're watching, it's just been way too long. We really had a wonderful time together. Thanks to Mike Love, I will say. Fred is just a terrific guy. Anyway, I hope we run into each other before before we come to the end of the runway here.
Oh my gosh. he is he's a treasure. He really is. He's a great human being. And so is Steven. We've had so much fun with them. So they wanted to say hi. Okay, so your favorite Beach Boys song?
Wow. Well, gee, you know what? That's a tough one. Can I ask for a lifeline? No. I mean, the thing is that it was so much fun playing. Of course, God Only Knows is a fantastic song, and Warmth of the Sun is a beautiful song, and then a bunch of those are the songs that I know because I played with them on stage. It's easier for me to remember, but Surf's Up is I mean, you could listen to it over and over and over and over and over. So maybe it's Surf's Up, even though we never did play it on stage. I guess we did during the Chicago Beach Boy tour, actually, but not much, not many times.
Awesome. Yeah. Who sang it on that tour? Was that Carl would sing lead?
Yeah, Carl and I'm sure Carl did. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, that's a pretty solid pick.
I didn't know you were on that tour. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was a big tour. Yeah, the Beach Ago. Yeah.
I was going to send you one of the pictures. I was going to send you was so when the tour was kind of developing, the Beach Boys were going to use the Chicago horns during the Beach Boys set. And the horn stuff on the Beach Boys songs is kind of. So there's nothing interesting. I mean, Brian wrote wonderful music. Don't get me wrong, but anyway, so Mike or somebody asked me, or maybe Jimmy Guercio asked me to do charts for Walter and Jimmy Pankow and Lee, and then we got to be friendly, and then it turned out I was quite a good trombone player in high school, and I still had some chops, and I told them, and they said, "Oh, come on." So they tried me out. And then we rewrote their charts for their set for four horns, and I played trombone with them on stage during that tour, as well as my keyboard stuff for the Beach Boys. But it was a thrill. I'll tell you, it was a thrill, man. And I still have in my mind those. I mean, Jimmy Pankow is really an amazing arranger, and he was a good guy. I haven't seen those guys for decades, but we had a lot of fun.
Wow. How about favorite Beach Boy album? Do you have a favorite album of yours?
Well, okay, this is going to sound stupid, right? I never listened to the Beach Boys as a kid, and I met Mike Love it must have been 1973. So King Harvest, Dancing in the Moonlight was a pretty big hit in the early part of 1973, and the song was released in the summer of '72, but the poor little record company that tried hard had one promotion girl, and they had no money to spend. Basically, they finally went out of business, by the way, without paying us any royalties. So I met Mike, and he, we got to be friendly over a year or so, and then he asked me if I wanted to. I think he just wanted a playmate on the tour. We didn't really need me to play. They had 15 possible keyboard players, but the whole reason that all came about was Endless Summer. So if I had to pick a favorite album, there you got all the hits in one package,
There you go. Yeah,
that's a fair choice. Now you said, how did you connect with Mike Love? You said that you met Mike, and he kind of eventually said, "Hey, you should come."
Yeah, well, we're both. You guys probably know this, and this is what turns off half the fans and half the fans like it or something. Mm-hmm. But we're both teachers of transcendental meditation. We've been doing that I've been doing it for 52 years, and Mike's been doing it a few years longer. Never missed once, twice a day doing it. And and we immediately connected when we met. But how we met, and I hope he's listening because he'll say this isn't true, and it is true. we were King Harvest. We were in New York, staying at this funky hotel where the TM Center was. It was called the Wentworth on 46th Street. And Mike was there. And it turned out we were competing for the favors of the same young girl. Well, we were all young then, so she wasn't too young.
Right.
She was very pretty. And he called me late at night, and I tend to go to sleep. I always tended to go to sleep kind of at some point. He apparently didn't. And he called me in the middle of the night and basically saying, you're in my territory, and I kind of, my attitude was, wait a minute, we've got like a it's maybe not a number one hit, but we got at least a hit. You guys haven't had a hit for 16 decades.
Snap.
So who are you?
Yeah, boom, in your face.
Yeah. No, it got down to a very bad level, but then we became friends. We became friends right away.
Oh, that is the best story I've ever heard.
That's a true story.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. So can you walk us through a little bit? So, so Ithaca, New York. You guys were all in college together, right? With King Harvest. Is that how you guys got?
Yeah.
What were you studying in college? I would assume music, but I wasn't able to find
I was
out.
pre-med. Eddie Taleo was. I think he was studying art history. Rod Novak was a nuclear scientist, and Doc, the singer, was he was just a screw up. he was a good-looking, big, powerful rock star guy. I have no idea. I have no idea what he was studying, but I know it wasn't very much.
Yeah.
So we all became friends at college. Yeah.
Right, and you guys decided to create the band. Now, I know the band was a big influence for you guys.
Did you ever? Huge influence.
Yeah, I love the band Levon Helm. Did you ever get to catch any of the band? Was that kind of a big influence for you guys? I guess as King Harvest was forming, what were the big influences for you? I know the band obviously was a big one.
Well, King Harvest formed kind of out of two bands. So in college, I joined a band that had an African American singer. I'm trying to say the right stuff here without being improper. She was a fantastic, like a Motown kind of singer, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then I took over that band and added two girls. So we had three black girl singers. It was like a little review. And then we added three guys from Buffalo called the Del Royals. Fantastic. I mean, they were as good as any vocal group I've ever heard. And I still get chills thinking about our gigs. So we had this whole review. The band would play a little bit, then the girls would come on, then the Del Royals, and then we do things with them together. So that was one group. Then the other group was Eddie Talea and Doc, who eventually became part of King Harvest. They had like a more rock band, like Beatles and I don't know, Rolling Stones, a little bit more Rolling Stonesy, kind of harder. And so we all were friends, and we had the two big bands, and we made money and had fun. Yeah. And then I went to Paris in the summer of 1967. Right. So you asked me what I was pre-med, and then I decided at one point when I was really serious about going to medical school that's not what I wanted to do. And in the middle of the night one night, I crushed my fruit flies. When you're pre-med, when you study, you do genetic stuff with fruit flies because they screw really fast. They multiply fast. So you can. But I was totally uninterested, and I went up to the lab, and it was after one of our gigs, and my girlfriend was with me, and I probably smoked a little contraband or whatever, and I just took my hand and crushed the fruit flies, and that was the end of my medical career. and then I went to Paris to study with a very famous teacher, and then one by one, Eddie came over, Rod came over, and then so the guys came over to Paris, and we actually formed King Harvest in Paris. We had a French bass player, Didier Alexandre, and we played a lot of gigs. We really had a great time. We had motorcycles and girls and playing croquet and smoking dope. But I mean, it was the hippies' dream, And there weren't that many American bands over there, so we had we played rock festivals and stuff. Yeah. And then we recorded Dancing in the Moonlight in the fall of 1971. And the record company we worked with had a deal with Fantasy Records, which was Saul Zaentz's record, and they had Creedence Clearwater, and they had pretty cool. Yeah. And they were supposed to release Dancing in the Moonlight, and Saul Zaentz didn't like the record, so they wouldn't release it. And really? and then we were stuck, and we were kind of it was kind of things got a little ugly in Paris. There was the contraband got more contrabandy, I would say. And so we kind of broke up, and then for about 6 months we weren't in touch with each other. And then in the summer of '72, I was back in the United States, and I just played piano at a small classical concert at a small college in California, in Eureka, California.
Yeah.
And I came out and turned on the radio in my little rented Pinto, and there was Dancing in the Moonlight. So it turns out the producer had hustled the record around and gotten somebody up in Portland, I think, the first radio station, or Seattle, to start playing it, and it just took off by itself. I mean, I don't want to diminish the role that the producer played. It's fantastic. His name is Jack Robinson, but he he introduced the record, and people started playing it, and people started calling in saying, well, can you play it again? And that's how that record happened. That record happened way different than most records, because it took about a year to wind its way around America and be a top record, top playing at local radio stations all around the country. Pretty cool story.
That's an amazing story. Now, and how does the story work out with you guys getting back together, being like, hey, we got to create a band, or we got to get back together?
So I get out of my Pinto and called my parents, who were on the East Coast, woke my parents up, and I said, hey, this is amazing. Because they had been in Paris the day we recorded Dancing in the Moonlight, so they kind of knew the whole.
Neat.
And I called. I said, the record's on the radio, and my mom, this little, Jewish immigrant, 5 foot, very strong accent, could care less about rock and roll, but of course she wanted us to be successful, and she said, oh yeah, your friend Jack has been calling trying to find you. Well, there were no cell phones. I mean,
right.
And so I went back to Paris and met up with Doc and Eddie. There are too many stories to tell. They were on a ship. They were on a sailing ship, kind of an old sailing ship, supposedly taking passengers between Spain and Africa. I don't know if there was anything else besides the passengers that they were taking back and forth. And I assume that there was, but they never admitted it. Anyway, and they ended up kind of not being shipwrecked, but they ended up kind of drifting into shore in the south of France. Mm-hmm. And the producer put it in the Herald Tribune used to have these personal ads at the end, mm-hmm. and you could say, Matt, come see me at the Arc of Triumph or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ad that went in was, Doc and Eddie, if you're alive, Dancing in the Moonlight's a hit. And then, and so they called the guy. Way. Yeah, they called the guy, and then he went down to. So we all that's how we all rehooked up, and then we recorded some more stuff in Paris, but we came back to our little town from where I'm calling you today, Alcott Beach, New York, up near Niagara Falls. Yeah. And we all lived here, and for a while we toured out of here until we petered out, kind of,
Well, that's only a couple steps away from sending like a carrier pigeon, right? I mean,
like, total carrier pigeon. Yeah. This guy shows up in a motorboat trying to find this boat out in the middle of the harbor of Saint Tropez or something like that.
I love it. All right, so King Harvest, you guys have your deal. Obviously, amazing song. I was listening to your first record today. Really, really great stuff. It's I like it a lot. But you obviously move your way to the Beach Boys. Now, you're first getting in there. Had you had any sort of knowledge of the Beach Boys music? Because you're obviously really into what you guys were doing at the time. Did you know about the Beach Boys 70s records? Were you hip to that at all, or not really?
No. Yes. I wasn't.
So you had to learn all basically their entire catalog, right?
Yeah. Not that it's well. I mean, I don't want to diminish because of Brian, such a genius, but so Mike said to me in the summer of 1974. My sister and I sailed my dad's boat across the Lake Ontario to Toronto. They were playing in Toronto. And he said, hey, you should join the Beach Boys. You guys aren't touring anymore, and we need a new keyboard player. So I took that as kind of okay, call me. And then nobody called me. So after a few months, I moved from here to Iowa to teach music at Maharishi University, International University. And then I left there in beginning of October to go to Switzerland to meet Maharishi and leave from Switzerland to go to Nepal to teach thousands of people how to meditate. But the day that I got to Switzerland, I walk into the hotel, having flown all night, and there's a message: call the Beach Boys road manager, whose name was Rick Nelson, strangely enough. And so I called the guy, and he said, hey, we're rehearsing at Caribou, and you're supposed to be here for the tour. Of course, nobody had bothered to tell me that, right? So I flew back, and I flew to Caribou, and kind of went through things on a record player because the rehearsals were over. And Carl just said, on this piece you play, on this song you play that synthesizer, on this song you play that piano, on this song you play Jingle Bells. I mean, I was really like the extra idiot, but it was fun though. And then it progressed from there, as you guys know, because of the internecine fighting, at one point Mike fired everybody, And then I took on a much more active role, I would say, and we brought in Gary Griffin to play organ at one point instead of Carly is a great organ player, but the lifestyle stuff between Mike and some of the guys didn't work out so well. So there were a lot of compromises, and I was on Mike's team.
Yeah. Well, and that's go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, that kind of brings us. That was kind of one of my questions about how the MIU album came about, because the Beach Boys had put out the Brian's Back 15 Big Ones. Then Brian had Love You, which was mostly him. And then I know he was working on some more music and it didn't really pan out. And then you have MIU. Can you kind of talk about the genesis of that, how that came to be?
Sure. So
and how you became producer? Yeah.
Well, yeah. So in the summer of 1976, we had this big, just Beach Boy tours were fantastic. They're all stadiums and big places, right? Tens of thousands. And then Mike caught, actually, I probably shouldn't say, he got a little bit sick. It was a contagious disease. And he had to stop, we had to stop touring for a while. He turned yellow he got jaundice.
Goodness.
And yeah. So, and just then there was this, Maharishi was gathering a lot of the TM teachers to meditate in Switzerland for 6 months and learn some kind of advanced stuff. So I just kind of quit and went to Switzerland, and then Mike came over also, and with Charles Lloyd, who was the third amigo, who's one of the great musicians in America today, and we were over there, and then there was this whole kind of controversy because the Beach Boys owed Warner Brothers another album, and before they could actually start on the Caribou stuff, because they signing with Jimmy with Epic, I guess, or CBS through Caribou Records, and so Mike said, okay, we're going to do this. It's going to be all life supporting. We just spent the 6 months meditating. We're not going to go back to LA and dope smoking, blah, 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 blah. So we built a studio in Iowa at Maharishi University. A couple of the guys, Chris Roberts, Greg Burning, guys, our friends, went out there ahead of us and just built the studio. And Steve Moffat, who was the Beach Boys, engineer at the time, supervised it. And then we all went there and we lived there for several months. Even Brian came out, Carl came out, even Dennis came out, and we recorded the album there. Well, who was going to produce it? Not Brian wasn't going to. He wasn't really equipped at that time. And Carl really, may he rest in, everybody rest in peace, is gone.
Sure.
But Carl was not happy about the whole thing. But Mike has a lot of life force. It's hard to oppose Mike, right? Yeah. You can't tour without Mike. But there's all these things can't happen without Mike because he's so incredibly dynamic. Yeah. So he said, let's build the studio. So we built a studio, and then Al and I actually in the summer of 76, before all this happened, Al and I and Mike decided we were going to start a split off group, because not to hurt the Beach Boys, but just to have more of an outlet. Mike was writing lots of songs. I wrote a lot of songs. We had he just thought, well, why not record under some other name? So we started this band called Waves, but of course somebody else had the name, and then it became Celebration eventually. And in that summer we did a session that was filmed, and the film is around someplace, where we recorded Winds of Change with Al singing, and we recorded the original version of Lady Linda, which Al and I wrote. Johann Sebastian Bach. I borrowed from. I figure my name is Altbach, so it's close.
There you go. Close enough. There you go.
And so we had this kind of. We had a plan to actually have a band that would tour when the Beach Boys didn't tour. We recorded, and then Mike got sick, so we all took off for a while. And then when we got back together in the summer of 77, we built the studio, and then Al and I were very friendly. We still are friendly, I would say. We just got along well, and we had this kind of similar approach. I can't. By the way, I will be the first to admit that it's not a well-produced album. It just isn't. It's a collection of some kind of cool tunes and not very well thought out production in most cases, but except Winds of Change, which I'm very proud of, actually. So Al and I became the producers. It just kind of happened.
So Ron, that's a really neat story. What you mentioned, Brian, and again, you don't have to answer too much if you don't want to, but I noticed something on that album that when you listen to 15 Big Ones and Love You, his voice was very kind of hoarse. You know, he still sang on key and everything, but it seems like on MIU, he was able to hit higher notes again. His voice was a little bit smoother. Did you see that when you were with him? And what was it like working with him then in the late 70s?
well, I'm laughing because I saw the film. You probably saw the film. I mean, Dr. Landy was around.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. And Mike's brother was the bodyguard and another guy named Rocky. And so they kept Brian more or less from doing bad things to himself. I don't do anything bad things to himself, bad things for his health. And yeah, I think he was, his singing, like She's Got Rhythm. I mean, I was just sitting down one day, we were sitting in the studio and Brian came walking and I started doing the pattern of it and he just started singing. That's how, and then the song happened. I mean, and he hit that high note just as, it was Brian Wilson. There was no question about it.
Wow, that's neat. And then what about with working with Mike and Al? I know you have a lot of some co-writes on there. How did Lady Linda come about? Was that something that Al brought to you?
No, I was up at Al's house in Big Sur visiting him and his wife at the time, and her name was Linda. And I told Al I had this idea for a song using the Bach chorale, Jesu, blah, 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 right? And so I started playing it in the style that I thought would make it into a cool pop song. And he started singing and he wrote the lyrics in that evening, basically. And then he actually, it was a great collaboration because we had fun. And yeah, I mean, it happened very quickly. The song came out very quickly.
Yeah, and that was a big hit in the UK too. I mean, it did pretty well in the US, but a big hit in the UK. So that must have been pretty neat to say you had a hit with the Beach Boys, right?
Yeah,
like two bands you had hits.
It would have been cooler to have it be bigger in the United States. But do I have to do anything, or are we okay?
Yeah, I know. So here's what we got to do real quick, guys, and this is my fault because it confirms my fears. So I'm gonna have you click out real quick and click in on your. I just sent you an email with a new link. So if you guys could click out for a second, and then we're gonna have you come back in on the new link. It should be in your email. You can click it right away to continue. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're just taking care of something real quick so we can make sure we have all the time in the world to do this. There we go. All right. Hey, Ron.
Right. You hear me?
Yep, oops. I can hear you. And we'll just get my brother back in here real quick.
Okay. You guys are brothers. I love that.
We are brothers. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me get me out of here.
I'm having fun with you guys. I don't care if anybody else is listening.
Hey, well, that's good. Well, we appreciate that. So let me get.
Sure, we have a lot of in a little while too. A lot of people to ask you questions. You mentioned Celebration. I want to say there's a really cool video. You all were on Dick Clark, I think it was, playing some of those Celebration songs. I think that first album came out for like a movie. Is that correct? Like a movie soundtrack?
Yeah. So this is the genius of Mike Love, right? So a guy named Marty Davidson was going to direct a movie. Steve Tisch was the producer, and it was for Universal. Sean Daniel and Tom Mount were the I can't believe I remember these guys, but they were the executives. And they thought, in case Grease didn't work as a movie, because there was a lot of question for some reason, that they needed to have a movie to fill in. And this was kind of a summer high school, almost summer. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's not a great film. Anyway, they asked if the Beach Boys wanted to do the soundtrack. This was the fall of '77, I believe. And it was just politics were just wrong. So Mike said, "Oh, we'll do it." And wink, wink, wink. Right. And I produced that album completely. Actually, so Brian and Mike wrote the theme song. It was called Almost Summer. And then Mike wrote a couple songs, and I think I wrote one or two songs on. And then I brought in the Doc Robinson, the lead singer from King Harvest, to sing a couple of the tunes. And then here suddenly we had a band, right?
Right.
And so then Mike had this. So the song went something like some summer, well, some. Anyway, we did a different version for all of the big radio stations in America. I mean, there was one for the big station in Memphis and one for the big station. It was like something like Radio 101. It's almost summer, So each one had their own. So of course they played the record, and it became. I think it was a top 15 song. I mean, it was
pretty good. It was like they said the only top 20 hit that wasn't the Beach Boys for those guys. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah,
it was real fast. It didn't last very long.
Right. Yeah,
but, and then of course we were on all the shows. Dick Clark and Mike, whatever his name was, I can't remember. Anyway, we did a bunch of the talk shows, the TV shows, but it was fun. We had a great time, and we did shows. We did a show at USC with the cheerleaders, and we did a show at Santa Barbara. We did these. We called them almost summer celebrations. And then we decided, well, wait a minute, this is a pretty good band. Why not we just do an album?
Yeah.
And Mike Nesmith had a label called Pacific Arts at the time. Mike Nesmith from the
Monkees,
Mike
Nesmith,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
awesome.
And we flew up there and we made a deal. So we did an album for Mike, and nobody's ever heard the album. But I'm quite, again, it's not a well produced album because I'm not a good producer. But the tunes are catchy little tunes, Well, and Mike wrote some very, very good tunes for that album. One called Star Baby. One called one was called I don't want to know. It was kind of bluesy.
Oh, yeah.
And then we did a couple of King Harvest songs, Country Pie and some other songs that I'd written or co-written. And we just had a ball. We just had a blast just recording these tunes,
Beach Boys played in the late 70s. There's some concerts where they play Country Pie.
Yeah.
As a Beach Boys band.
It's
that's cool.
Yeah, great. I love
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Mike's
that's got to be neat.
Yeah, of course, with my luck, and I say that, I've had a wonderful life and I have a wonderful family and all that, but why didn't they record it? I mean, everybody, people used to put up signs, play Country Pie, and it never got on an album.
That is kind of odd when you look at the Beach Boys albums afterwards that almost were starving for quality content. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do know what you mean.
It does seem odd. Hey, I have a question for you, Ron. When you were producing and writing at the time, you had been with the Beach Boys for a while, obviously as first kind of an auxiliary role and then moving into keyboard. Did you ever feel like a weight on your shoulders as a co-producer, a producer or writer that you had to have a certain sound, knowing the Beach? I'm assuming at this point you had listened to their records, trying to learn the songs. Did you ever feel like I have to make it sound like the Beach Boys?
I would like to say that I'm a thoughtful person, but I'm kind of shallow. No, I didn't. I really didn't. I mean, Al, like when we did WMLU, we just had the songs, and Mike wrote at least half the album, I think, and a couple we wrote together, and then we just go in and kind of make it sound like King Harvest. I mean, there wasn't. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but we didn't. And then Brian was there. So Al is a terrific vocal arranger too. Al Jardine is way underrated. He's been kicked around and pushed around and, treated like a hobo, but he's a very, very talented guy. If you guys get a chance, or anybody listening, he and his son, Matt, do a show.
Yeah.
Just with 3 people. And it's fantastic. I went to see them in New York at a club. It's just a fantastic evening. I mean, really fun, really good.
We were lucky enough to have Matt on the show, and he talked about that, and it just from a musical standpoint, how interesting. But the fact that you have father and son on stage and the banter back and forth, I'm sure it's really wonderful. And I know some folks in our chat have seen that. I really hope that they continue. They continue.
Yeah, the COVID screwed it all up, but hopefully Al's still. Hey, guess what? They're going back. I mean, I heard that Brian was going back out on tour. I don't know now with the latest stuff that's going on, but I hope that. Al's voice is just.
It's so good still. Yeah.
Well, Ron, you'll really like what my brother Matt. Give him your hot take about Al that you always say.
Oh, that he should have sang more leads. You mean?
No. You have one more. Come on. What's the hot take?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Matt, my brother always says that Al is the best vocal in the entire group.
Oh, in the group. Yeah. I do believe that. I think he's just got that sound. He's so distinct. Now Mike loves distinct too, and Brian, but Al's just got that little rasp in his voice, I don't know. I think his vocals on the MIU album are awesome. That song Pitter Patter, when he comes in, that's a great one too. So I do think that. Yeah.
I'm going to send you guys at some point. I won't forget because I'll write it down.
Oh,
I'm going to send you the video of our making of Lady Linda. Because at one point, Al comes in the control room and he says, "Was it good? Should I do more like James Brown or Frank Sinatra?" I mean, he can do anything.
Yeah.
No, he's great. And of course, Matt is an incredible vocalist. I'm a big supporter, a big promoter of Matt Jardine, and I've gotten him gigs in other places in the world just to kind of phony Beach Boy gigs because they couldn't afford Beach Boys. But Matt puts together a show which is fantastic too. They're good people.
Very, very good people.
So Rob, what did things kind of, and I don't want to ask, I want to be careful, but did things kind of end after MIU? Was that it with you and the Beach Boys? I know you probably still talk to Mike and Al, but was that it as far as musically?
No, not at all. No. I mean, MIU was kind of the beginning of the fun for me because I went from being, what I considered to be any 12-year-old could have played what I was playing on stage. I mean, it's like an orchestra. You get the part, you play it, right? and then I was much more active, and then we did the tour with Chicago, which I had a pretty good role in, and it was really fun. I mean, it was really fun.
That was after. Okay, yeah.
And then I don't remember why, but I hope it wasn't. I hope it wasn't because Billy was kind of shunned aside because of Mike or something. Like I can't remember, but I did a lot more piano playing then, and not as much Jingle Bells playing. and I had fun. It was fun. But by then we did the Almost Summer record, which was and then we started doing all these other records, and then by 1979 summer. It wasn't necessary for me to be on a Beach Boy tour anymore. And you just mentioned Orleans. Wells Kelly at one point he was in Paris with us with King Harvest. He was the original drummer with King Harvest. And then he went back to the United States, started playing with John Hall and Larry Hoppin. May Larry rest in peace. And Wells. It's hard to believe all these guys are gone. But Wells then was kind of out of sorts in the summer of 78, I think. It was before Dance With Me, before Still the One, before Love Takes Time, before they had all their hits.
Yeah.
And he needed a job, and so I got him to come out to Santa Barbara and live at Mike's place, and he worked with the Beach Boys, and he worked with us. He was on a bunch of recordings, and then Orleans regrouped, and obviously they got the last laugh. They were a fantastic band. Really fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course. It's so funny, going for this show, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of all these bands. Like I didn't know, for example, looking up your influences, right? I didn't know the band. This is embarrassing as a musician. I didn't know that they were Bob Dylan's band originally to start out. And then I didn't know that Rick Danko, he ended up playing for the Beach Boys at some point, right? He played. I thought I read that he played bass or did something with the Beach Boys. Somebody in the band did. I thought. Maybe I'm way off on that.
Yeah, I don't know that to be true. It's possible, but I don't know that to be true.
Okay, good, because I was going to ask you that. Now I'm glad I'm not gonna. So forget.
Yeah, but so the band. So I in 1968, music of Big Pink from Big Pink came out. It was like
right. Yeah.
Groundbreaking. Anybody with a brain thought that was the best thing that ever happened. I think, for white music anyway. And competing with Sly and the Family Stone. So you're talking about like monster stuff happening.
Oh yeah.
And then when I went to Paris, and when I was in Paris, back to Paris in the spring of '69, I had two records. One of them was the band's Brown album, the band, and so I just played it like nonstop. And Eddie Talea and I and Rob, we all just loved that album. So that's why we named our band King Harvest.
Right.
Because of the song. And we did get to meet them later, but never played with them or anything.
Speaking of other bands, you've been on the road, you've hung out with, and Chicago's a great example of that. Do you have a favorite group that you got to play with while on tour with the Beach Boys, or not the Beach Boys, another band of yours that you just got really? Did you ever party with Chicago or something like that? Other bands that you got to experience along the way.
Do I look like a party guy?
Yeah, Absolutely.
No, the truth is, maybe it was because of the TM stuff, or maybe it was because I started the path with my own band, basically with my own guys, with King Harvest. None of us were really part of the scene because we were a discrete group in a sense. So we never were never accepted. I don't think anybody in any big bands, the Eagles or any of those guys, ever heard of us, or maybe they heard the song, but yeah. So we weren't really, and we weren't LA people at that time. We were in Paris. In Paris, it was like 100 years behind the time.
Yeah,
I mean, the rock and roll in Paris was still accordion driven,
Right.
And by the way, I'm a pretty good accordion player, so I fit in pretty well. But,
awesome.
But so no, I never really. I mean, the Chicago thing was just an anomaly because they were on tour with, because of Jim Guercio, really, and it was fun playing with them. But that was the only other band I think I ever played with. I think.
Rod, didn't you play the accordion? Reminded me, I read. Is that correct? You played the accordion on 15 Big Ones on that same song,
on
the Brian Wilson tune?
I played it on Palisades Park and maybe a couple other tunes.
Yeah, on 15 Big Ones. That is awesome. So cool. Yeah,
that's
really
awesome.
Cool. I still have my accordion from that day, from that era, and it still says, it's got the stencil, the Beach Boys and King Harvest on it.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That accordion's been around. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to play, if you'll indulge us here, I kind of want to play a little bit of a game. So you obviously got to spend time with most of the Beach Boys for some extended period of time, right? At least a lot more than we ever will be able to, right? So I want to give a Beach Boy name, and if you could give us maybe a positive story or maybe just a positive word, something that reminds you of them, to give us some insight as to the member. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. We'll start. We'll keep it hopefully easy here, but how about Mike Love?
Well, we're still very close friends. He's an extremely dynamic guy, very forceful personality, doesn't take no for an answer, and he's really talented.
Yeah.
He's really talented. He's really talented guy. We are, even though we joke a lot with each other. And can I tell a quick Mike's Love story?
Oh, please, we would love that.
Please, yeah.
Okay, so after I met him in New York, and like I said, King Harvest had a top 10 record or whatever, top 11 record, maybe top 12, whatever it was. It was a big fucking hit. Big hit. and they hadn't had a hit for years and years. And so they were going to play. They were on their way to playing in Batavia, New York, which is near my hometown here.
Yeah.
And they were going to play at some little community college or something like that. Mike was traveling in a limousine. He had a guy named Scott Lockhart was driving him. Good. They were friends of mine at the time. And anyway, so I said, look, you're going up there. My parents live there in a nice house on Lake Ontario. Why don't you go visit, stay with them, and my mom will cook you a nice meal. So what I forgot to do was tell my mother, right? So apparently the story, and I've heard the story from my mother, my sister, and from Mike, all exactly the same story. So they show up, and Mike walks up. It's very isolated in the wintertime. Nobody's around, and this guy with kind of crazy looking jacket walks up the little, next to the house and knocks on the door, and he's got this collar up. And my mother's, like I said, my mother's 5 feet tall and had this accent that most people didn't know what she was talking about because she couldn't understand her. And she answers the door and she says, hi. And he said, hi. Ronnie said that I'd be invited to come and stay, and you cooked me a good meal. And she said, well, who are you? And he said, well, my name's Mike. And she said, well, sure, you can come in, but why do you have your collar up? What are you afraid of? And he said, well, I'm one of the Beach Boys. And she said, oh, what hotel are you from? Now, you have to have been in Florida as a kid to understand that the guys who put the mats on the cots outside, they were like the superstars, right? So that's to my mother, this Beach Boy was actually coming to visit. Fantastic. Anyway, so he and I are still quite good friends.
That's good. Oh, I love that. And you're right about Mike being a forward. Well, you just mentioned it. You brought it back about Mike and MIU and kind of keeping moving forward, even though everybody else was kind of at a standstill. I love hearing stuff like that. It's really neat.
That period was ugly. It was an ugly period among the guys in a way. And boy, Mike just add the shows, boys.
Yeah.
Keep trucking.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
And he still does. They're doing 100. I mean, if there's no COVID, they'll do 150 shows this year.
Yeah.
He's 80 years old.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Yep. How about Al Jardine?
Well, again, I did say Al's a very solid guy, underrated, absent-minded professor in a lot of ways. You got to make sure he's got his undershirt on. I mean, but he's a very, very talented singer. I don't know his music so well. He's written some songs lately. I haven't listened to them, actually. I hate to say, but we had fun writing together. And we talk about writing together again, so maybe we will one more.
Oh, that'd be great!
One more try, Yeah,
and he sings your song on MIU real beautifully, "The Winds of Change." That's a great recording. Yeah, I love that. He kind of sings it real softly, and I love that.
Yeah. By the way, probably the best song on MIU, if we're all being honest here. I mean, it's up there. That's a pretty wonderful tune. So
I wrote it with Eddie Talea. Eddie wrote the lyrics. I wrote the music. I'm not much of a lyricist. I've got nothing to see, even though I talk a lot, big mouth. but I don't really have much of a. But Eddie wrote beautiful lyrics, and it's a meaningful tune.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, the arrangement, it's really beautiful. Well,
if you listen to that song carefully, which you probably will do after I say this, it's just me on the piano. It's it. The whole track is me playing the piano. We did at one point adds. I don't know which version is. There's a version which has some strings in the background.
Right. That's the one on the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's another version that we did that was just Maureen Love, Mike's sisters playing harp, and Charles Lloyd playing flute, and it was just ethereal. I mean.
Oh wow.
I have that someplace. If I can find that, I'll send it to you because it's a beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome, amazing. Yeah, we'd love to hear that. Okay, how about Carl Wilson?
Well, Carl and I, we weren't close friends. He's extremely talented. I mean, his voice was just beautiful. He was the band leader. He was the core. He was the spirit. But I don't know why. I guess it was because Mike and I were friends. I mean, at some point there were teams. I was on the other team, kind of.
That's interesting.
It was too bad because I think we could have been, musically we could have been closer. I will say that in the spring of 1975. I was still early on with the Beach Boys, and King Harvest had another chance to. We got signed by A&M Records, another King Harvest story. Jimmy Gersey wanted to sign us to his new Caribou label, and then A&M wanted to sign us, and I got outvoted. The guys just had no idea how powerful Jimmy was and what it was. Jimmy's the real deal. Yeah. I mean, he is the real deal as a producer and as a human. But anyway, we signed with A&M and Jeff Barry, the great songwriter, but not such a great producer, produced the record. And Carl actually came and played on it and sang on it. He was very supportive. So we just never hung out.
Yeah, understood. Okay, how about Dennis? Did you ever get to hang out with Dennis at all?
Well, Dennis was, So Dennis, I was not the natural ally of Dennis, except that we're both sailors. And in sailing, we actually got along quite well. I was on his boat with him several times, and we had fun talking about it. But I was like goody two shoes for Dennis at the time. I mean, I'd kind of cleaned up a lot from the King Harvest days. Yeah. And I was on Mike's team, so it is what it is. Yeah.
Man, that's it. As Beach Boy fans, it is sad to hear that. I mean, but look, you're on the road, you're on tour, you're with guys your entire life, and that stuff happens, part of the deal.
I mean, in 1970, one of the years we had two planes, one for Mike, Al, me, and I forgot who else was on that plane, and then the other one was for Dennis, Carl, Carly, Billy, and Bobby.
No way.
Yeah. People didn't want to be on the same.
So how did Brian end up coming to the MIU then? Was he just kind of a neutral guy, or he just kind of, because he was with Landy, he just kind of, you know what I mean?
Well, he was still Brian Wilson. It was his band,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't the idea of doing something without Brian was just, you couldn't. And by the way, Mike loved and loves Brian.
Oh yeah.
Mike was a huge. I mean, he just wanted Brian to get better. He wanted him to be, he did a lot for trying to help Brian. I don't know that he was helpful, but he certainly tried to be helpful.
Sure.
To bring Brian back to health.
Did you meet Brian pretty early on, or was it late?
No,
I know you're on 15 Big Ones, right? You played on that.
Yeah, but it wasn't really meaningful. Meaningful was at MIU. We really had fun, and I'm not close with Brian. I can't say that. But when he was in New York several years ago, he played at a small place. I can't remember the name of the venue, but Jeff Foskett was with him, and Jeff and I know are quite friendly, or have been over the many years. And Jeff invited me to come and see Brian. And he was just very, very warm when I walked into his bus, because we talked about Winds of Change, and we talked about, that whole experience making that record. But
oh, that's great.
It's good to see him, man. It's great to see him out there. I go see him in New York whenever they come through, gosh, you think about it, it's Brian Wilson. It's like
He's got an amazing band too. The band,
fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike's got a great band too, though. Mike's got a very good
absolutely,
band.
They both do. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? So over the years, do you have a favorite? I'll ask you a favorite, maybe King Harvest memory, but I also want to ask you a favorite Beach Boy memory, maybe on stage or in the studio, or maybe just personally with one of the members. How about one for the Beach Boys and one for your time with King Harvest?
Well, the Beach Boys one, I think the Beach Boy one would be when we went to London in the summer of '75, I think, and played at Wembley Stadium. Awesome. It was a big experience, right? Well, it was an Elton John show, but the opening acts, I think, I may be wrong about this, but just before us was the Eagles. And Jim Garcia and I were standing at the side of the stage, and it was talking 75, so they were still kind of early in their big hit stuff, right? And they had the best looking girlfriends of any rock and roll band. Jim looked at me and said, "Those guys are rock stars, no question about it."
Oh yeah,
that was a cool experience.
Matt, am I wrong about this? That was Bobby in the band at that time?
Sure, Bobby was in the band all the time.
When Bobby was on, I think Bobby said that was, if I remember right, I feel like Bobby said that was one of his favorite memories too. Was playing Wembley. Like he said, it was a big, huge show, like an aha moment for him. So that's really neat to hear that.
The summer of '77. How can I possibly remember all this? But we played Central Park. That was quite a big free concert too. But Wembley was Wembley. I mean, it's Wembley.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's so neat.
It's so neat.
And you always have that, there's very few people that can say that, I played at Wembley, what an amazing thing to be able to say. Yeah.
I'm in a business now and one of the guys I work with is a South African marketing person, very, very, very smart guy. And he always starts out with, he says, "I can't believe I'm on the phone with somebody who played Wembley Stadium."
Now, do you write any music now? I thought I saw something on YouTube. You're playing classical music, but I wasn't sure if that was you. It
is me. It is me. So I started out life as thinking I might be a classical pianist, and my parents thinking I might be, but I practiced an hour a day or an hour and a half. I never was one of those driven kids. I mean, I sailed, I played basketball poorly, but I did. And I was pretty good in school. And then I went to Cornell. At Cornell, two things happened. One is the piano teacher, I'm not going to mention his name because I hope he's okay, but I didn't like him. And that was one thing. And the second thing was there were 53 fraternities. And if you were in a band, you could work every night, and we worked 3 nights a week. In fact, I went to Cornell because of rock and roll. In high school, I had a band with a wonderful musician in my hometown named George Bridgman, and we were fantastic. And we were invited to come down to Cornell for a spring weekend. A spring weekend, like they have big parties.
Yeah.
And we the first night we were playing at this, we're talking about 1963, extremely conservative, upstate New York town, young kids, right? And we go there and it's like a toga party. And so to me, that was where I was going to college. I didn't apply anyplace else. I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
It so happened they also had 53 fraternities. So it was just inevitable that you'd play rock and roll,
Right.
But then I got the opportunity to go back to Paris in 1967 a wonderful pianist named Noel Lee was at Cornell as a visiting professor. I don't think he's alive anymore, but he was fantastic. And he said, "Listen, I'm not bragging, but he said you have a lot of talent, but you need some help, son." And so he suggested that I go to Paris and study with a woman named Nadia Boulanger, who is considered the most influential teacher in the history of Western music.
Wow.
There was just an article about her in the New York Times saying exactly that, right?
Wow.
So I went. I didn't know what the heck. I'm just some Yahoo, and I show up and I played for her, and she said, "Oh, my dear, you." So she said, "Maybe you have." She's basically what she said was, "I'm a great communicator, and I have a lot of talent, but I could also just be a plumber." She said,
all right.
Yeah. So real encouragement. But I stayed there. And then so I came back, did the King Harvest, Beach Boys, blah blah blah. And then I got married in the middle 80s, and I married a wonderful woman. We're still married, and she loved classical music, and it was just that little spark that made me practice again. And I've given little concerts almost every year since 1986 or 1987, except for the COVID last year. But,
right.
Yeah. So if you go on YouTube, you do see that actually is me.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, it was great. I
Awesome.
watched a lot of it. I love classical music and opera. That's other than the Beach Boys. I'd have an opera show if I could. So I like that kind of music. So.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I play a lot of Schubert and Chopin, and
Yeah.
now I'm about to play a Beethoven concert if COVID opens up this fall. But
Oh my gosh,
Very good.
Now, are you doing these COVID open? Where would you do this?
There are a couple of small venues in New York that hold maybe 50 to 70 people. So it's like a salon concert, really.
Oh my gosh,
it's very nice. Yeah.
Well, you need to let us know, because I was just in Rochester doing not too long ago. So I'm always driving through Rochester. It seems.
Where are
like,
you now? Where are you now?
I'm in Cleveland, so we play shows out in Rochester every once in a while. So we get out there, but you're not far from us. So just a side note, if and when you please let us know, because we'll be in the front row. My brother and I will paint our bellies with Ron.
That'd be real impressive. I'd like that.
Yeah, no, we would love that.
I got one more question, and maybe then we'll go to the chat.
Good idea, Matt.
Your nickname was the Professor, correct? Did Mike Love give you that nickname?
Mike Love calls you the Professor, yeah.
Yeah, Mike still calls me the Professor.
How did that come about?
Well, I mentioned that just before I joined the Beach Boys, I had been a professor of music at Maharishi University for a little while.
Okay, from there. Okay,
that makes sense. Yeah,
and then the rest of it is that when I first joined the Beach Boys, I didn't know exactly. The first gig I played, I wore jeans and a T-shirt, and Carl was really angry at me because that's what King Harvest looked like. That's not what the Beach Boys looked like. So then at some point I started wearing, it was Carl's idea actually. I don't know if he was like, doing it to make fun of me or not, but he said, "You should be the magical professor." And I had like a top hat and tails.
No way.
Yeah. Look at the pictures. Even with Chicago, I had the top hat for a long time.
Oh, I got to find that. That's awesome.
That's sick. I love it.
Very cool.
That is awesome. So do you get the itch to kind of get, I know you're doing the kind of the classical scene. Do you ever get an itch to do a rock and roll record again? And, that's kind of in your blood, right?
Yeah, it is. And the itch is there, but the opportunity is not necessary. 2 summers ago, or 3 summers ago, maybe, Ed Talea, Rod Novak, and I, the kind of surviving members of King Harvest, did a little single. It's called Our Old Songs. I actually love it, and of course I wrote it with Rod. But it's a cool kind of country rock song or country ballad, whatever. And every once in a while I think about writing, but I've started working in a new business about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's still new.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work, and so when I have time to do anything, I play classical music.
Sure.
Oh, that's
sure.
awesome.
You know why? Because I figure, I can write a song and maybe 20 people like it, or maybe 100 people like it, but it can't compete with Franz Schubert. I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic here.
I wish I could show you. I have a bust of Beethoven, my favorite composer of all time. Yeah, nothing the Beach Boys could have ever done will ever touch anything.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah.
No, I mean it was a different time. Yeah,
different.
Completely. Well, Ron, if it's okay with you, do you mind if we take some questions from our chat?
Go
we got
ahead.
a lot of folks on here.
On a roll.
I
So,
have one. I'm sorry, Greg. I have one comment
Please.
from the chat. It
Yeah,
says
please.
from Tom. Tom says, "Remember Ron Altbach at the free concert on September 1st, 1977? That must have been the Central Park. What a
Central
sight!
Park.
Miles and miles of fans. The night before I attended the show at Saratoga Springs, Dennis played some solo songs from Pacific Ocean Blue. So that's just a nice memory there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Leslie on Facebook. Hi, Leslie. Thanks for joining us. Ron, can you talk about Go and Get That Girl? Did you write it specifically for Carl? I absolutely adore that song.
Oh, you know what? I love you, Leslie. No, Eddie Talay and I wrote that song for Gary, who sang "Woman."
Oh, Gary Puckett.
Gary Puckett. We were just talking about Gary Puckett.
Gary Puckett, and we have a demo. I could try to find that for you guys too, with him
we would
singing
love
it.
that.
With
What?
him singing it, yeah.
We were
So
just
we
talking about
wrote
Gary
it. We
Puckett.
wrote it with Gary Puckett in mind, and then that was going to be part of the Mike Love band thing, with the celebrate, or Waves celebration. And then Gary had his own career. He kind of wasn't that interested. And then we were out at MIU, and Mike's saying, "Where can we find another song for our Christmas?" I don't know. Anyway, then Carl sang it. Yeah, great vocal though. Yeah.
Love it. Hey, Tom on Facebook says, Ron Altbach is a very talented musician. Mike Love would praise him all the time in concert. So very cool to hear that. Todd Peters on Facebook. Hey, Ron, what's your favorite memory of hanging out with my cousin, Mike Love? All right, I guess Todd's cousin is Mike Love. You got a favorite memory of hanging out with Mike? I'm sure you got a lot of them.
Well, we spent a lot of time together with Maharishi in Switzerland. And I'll tell you, that's a very different Mike Love than the Mike Love people see on stage singing Barbara Ann 15 million times, But the other thing is that Mike in the mid 80s, Mike decided, or actually late 80s, early 90s, Mike decided that it was time to use his platform, meaning the Beach Boys, right, for good. Yeah. And he was asked by George Bush Sr., may he rest in peace, to create something to go along with 1,000 Points of Light. And I was Mike, and whenever Mike decided to do something, he always called me to it was his ideas, and I had to do it basically. and there was a foundation called the Love Foundation, and we put together with our lawyer Robert Corey, we put together a fantastic program. Kraft Foods sponsored it. We had millions of kids. It was called Star Serve. We had millions of kids in America. Basically, we created we didn't create, but we paid to have created a curriculum where kids would do community service and integrate their community service into whatever subject it was, math, history, science, whatever.
Yeah,
there was it was fantastic. And then Mike had this idea to do something called Project Teach, which my beautiful wife, took over and ended up the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys would charge an extra 50 cents, I think, 50 cents on each ticket. Beach Boys, Moody Blues, some of the has-been guys, but so they'd go to Buffalo, they'd add 50 cents, they'd raise, they'd play for 10,000 people, raise $5,000. And then my wife would send that money specifically just straight to teachers in the Buffalo area who needed money for brooms or for chalk. Wow. I mean, teachers are so misused and abused in America.
Oh, sure.
Unfortunately, and funding just isn't there. So I would say my really favorite hanging out stuff with Mike is he's a good soul. He has a good soul.
Yeah. Greg, speaking of Mike, Greg Shady on Facebook says, what's your favorite Mike Love vocal? Do you have a favorite vocal of his?
I would say no. I mean, I like a lot of his vocals. I don't want to say that. But you listen to him on Kokomo, you listen to all this stuff. He sounds great.
Yeah.
He's Mike Love.
Yeah. He is. We had a couple episodes ago where we talked about our favorite Mike Love vocals, and it's he's got some really great ones.
He's on so many iconic songs,
He's on a lot of iconic songs, but then he's on a lot of kind of dark horse where you're like, wow, Mike, why didn't you sing like that all the time? Where it's a little bit more soft and subtle. So yeah, love it.
Right.
Tom on Facebook says, can you talk a little bit about kind of your Dick Clark appearance? Do you remember kind of going on Dick Clark and?
I remember doing it, but I don't. we met with the Beach Boys. We met Dick Clark twice in a sense, or when I was with them. Once was the Chicago did the Chicago Rock and New Year's Eve, which Dick Clark hosted.
Oh,
and that
was
fun.
Awesome.
We all wore tuxedos or whatever.
So
I've seen that video. Yeah, I have to check it out again. Yeah, that's cool.
And then the celebration, Dick Clark stuff.
Right.
Dick and Mike were like old. It was like it was like old timers day. It was fun. It was fun because they were just so relaxed with each other.
Yeah. This is kind of a fun question from our friend Les. Les says, Ron, when did you stop sporting the mustache?
Mid 80s.
Mid 80s.
Yeah, so when around the mid 80s, Charles Lloyd, maybe it was a little bit later, 87, Charles Lloyd was giving Charles Lloyd had, Charles, I don't know if you know who he is, but Charles Lloyd is probably one of the greatest jazz musicians America has ever produced. And he's 80 something now. He's still winning awards and touring. He has brought into the public eye many great musicians, including Michel Petrucciani. So at the time, Michel Petrucciani was like 3 feet tall guy who was an amazing piano player, worth looking into his music if you can. He's not alive anymore, but Michel and Charles were playing a concert in Santa Barbara, and Charles invited me to come and do kind of open the concert. So I played some Foray, and then Charles came out with his flute, and we did this kind of improvisation on a theme that Charles wrote, and then they actually did the real jazz stuff. I'm not a real jazz man. But so Charles, the concert was filmed, and Charles brought the video cassette, those thick 3/4-inch cassettes, down to my apartment a couple of weeks later and said, "Hey, you got to see this." And I had the video player there, and we put it in. And Charles was standing by the TV, and he kept putting his finger like on my head on the screen. And I said, "Charles, get your finger off my damn head." And he said, "I'm sorry, brother." And when he took his finger away, the light was glinting off my head because I was starting to get bald. I didn't know it at the time. But it was like a spotlight coming off of my head. So that was the end of the mustache. That was the end of the hair. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
Did away with it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great.
A couple more questions just from us, Ron, and we'll let you go. We're taking so much of your time, and I can't thank you enough for being here.
It's been so great. Yeah.
It's been awesome. So number one is, do you still keep in touch with any of the Beach Boys that are with us today? And then 2, can you tell everybody kind of where we can find, maybe if you're streaming or your YouTube channel, do you have stuff where we can go check out more from you?
Well, I keep in touch with Mike. I'm in touch with Al from time to time.
Sure.
And I'm in touch with his son Matt. Lately, I've been in touch a little bit with Billy, who's got a great show too on awesome. Saturday nights.
Awesome show.
And that's fun. And then I keep very much in touch with Jim Guercio.
Sure.
Even though he's not a Beach Boy, but he sure was a big force in the Beach Boys in that time. He was the manager, and he was very good to the Beach Boys, I think, and he was very good for the Beach Boys. And he played bass on stage with the Beach Boys. That's how I met. So that's the answer to that. And then in terms of just search YouTube, Ron Altbach. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. There's the interview with Mike and about Lady Linda's on there. That's actually kind of a cool little video.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched that yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, right?
There's another one I saw. It was some documentary called Our Team. I watched that today. And at the end, I think I see you and the big group of people were all singing that song together. Mike said he brought everybody to sing on it because of the nice experience they had or something, right? Yeah. Yeah,
and that was at MIU. So that was that was while we were producing the album. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So
Ron, it is such an honor to speak with you.
Yes.
Forget about your Beach Boys stuff. You're a legend. You're a legend with King Harvest and the stuff. You're just so grateful for you taking the time. It really means a lot to my brother and I. Thank you so much.
No, you guys are great. And look, there's one thing I didn't actually understand early on, and I've understood it more and more as I've gotten older and just see the phenomenon, which is people who love music, and it's just. Without the people who love the music, there wouldn't be the music of pop music anyway. You wouldn't sell records, you wouldn't do shows. So guys like you are just, an essential piece of the ecosystem that allows music to prosper and continue. It's fantastic. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate that, Ron.
It's been an honor. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And take care of yourselves.
Okay,
yeah, take
Ron,
care.
take
Thank
care,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, we have yet to have a bad interview. We're pretty lucky guys. Pretty awesome stuff. What a nice
guy. And he was so much, and I don't mean this in a bad way. He was just so much more than not that I was expecting, but I just didn't know all that about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Beach Boys is kind of like almost a footnote in his career. He was there for a long time, but he's
it's crazy.
done all this other stuff in his own right. It's very neat. So
man, Matt, you nailed it. The Beach Boys is a footnote in that guy's career. I mean,
yeah.
How many people? Well, Steven last week. Steven was a lot like that, where.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys got to play with the best. I mean, he played the keyboard part on Dance in the Moonlight. Like what? That's like, I mean, that's one of the greatest songs of all time. I mean, like he mentioned, billions of people have listened to that song and continue to listen to that.
I knew that.
He is timeless.
I didn't know he toured with those big Chicago tours. I didn't know he played the trombone for Chicago. I mean, that's so sweet to think about. He just played the horns for the Chicago. Can you imagine? So
yeah. Oh my gosh, what a cool guy. Well,
it was very interesting. Yeah.
So Matt, we're running out of time here, but I definitely wanted to get to our top 5 for today. So we talked about, and he talked about Al quite a bit, which was nice.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about our top 5. In our poll, everybody, we have a Facebook group called Beach Boys Talk. You should go on there. We will approve you. It doesn't matter who you are, whatever you want to do. Come on, we do a poll on there every week, and our poll this week was top 5 Beach Boy. Top 5 Al Jardine Beach Boy leads. So, Matt, I'm going to pull this up real quick.
Okay. And I want to say, while you're pulling it up, I want to say hello to Lucy, who popped on here.
Hi, Goosey.
Starting school tomorrow. Good luck, darling.
I love it. Lucy, I miss you, sweetie. Okay. I'm trying to get, nope, that's not the right one. Hold on. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, and I hope, too, that
trippy.
all of you on here after hearing our interview with Ron, it was really enlightening to me, but maybe go back and give that MIU another listen. I mean, he even says, it was just a bunch of nice songs put together. It's not necessarily a production masterpiece or anything, but if you listen to it for what it is, I think you might appreciate it. So
right. Sorry, Matt, I'm getting the
That's all right. Well, I'll go ahead and just start with mine. How about that?
Oh, come on. Why is this not working?
So one of the things I will say about Al Jardine, other than I think he is one of the best, if not the best singer in the Beach Boys, is that I wish they let him sing more leads. Mm-hmm. Because even at Brian's concerts now, he'll sing a lot of the stuff that either Brian used to sing or Mike sings in his band. And Al sounds great. He's got that Beach Boy sound,
Yeah.
He has so many leads. But I guess my top 5 would be, I'd say, Lady Linda, From There and Back Again, from That's Why God Made the Radio. That thing's dynamite. I'm going to throw a big curveball in here, and I'm going to say Crocodile Rock. I love his vocal on that cover of Crocodile Rock that the Beach Boys do. If you haven't heard that one in a while, check it out. And, he's just got a voice that works really well. So Crocodile Rock, I'll say. Then I would say Then I Kissed Her, especially when I saw him do that live. I remember at the Beach Boy 50th, they just start the doom, 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 and it's coming. And then Al just gets up there, sings it in the same key. And then, of course, I hate to be too cliche on number 1, but it's got to be Help Me Rhonda. I mean, such a classic vocal, particularly the single version, which I believe won our poll, was the single version of Help Me Rhonda, right? I didn't mean to fool everybody on there, but there's actually 2 different versions of that he sings. Oh, and an honorable mention to me is You Still Believe in Me and Heroes and Villains that he sings on that concert album, that live album. Mm-hmm. He's so good on those. So those are my Al Jardine vocals.
So Matt, hey, do me a favor. Will you move your phone for me?
Move my phone? Yeah.
There we go. So right now, everybody, you're looking at our. We have a poll up right now for your favorite Beach Boy Al Jardine leads. Number 1, far and away. Oops, sorry. Is come on, don't do this. Number 1, far and away is Help Me Rhonda, the single version. So and then Help Me Rhonda. Matt, do you think that the Help Me Rhonda really got that many votes, or do you think we just maybe?
It's possible. I just goofed it up. I should have just put it on there one time. I was trying to be kind of cute, to say, oh, there's 2 versions, but.
That is so lame.
Well, I mean, I wasn't trying to do that, but they are different. His vocal's different, but.
That's what I hate. I do hate that. And for those of you, some trivia. Originally, our name for the show was going to be Cabin Essence because I thought it would be trendy and cool and only Beach Boy fans would get it. But we're kind of realizing now that that's not super cool. So,
but honestly, I feel like if I didn't add it, somebody would have added it anyway. You know what I mean? So somebody would have caught it. So.
Number 3, Lady Linda.
Yeah.
Lady Linda. I'm surprised that's. We'll put that as number 2, Lady Linda. Then Cotton Fields. I can't believe that Then I Kissed Her is so far down the line. But Then I Kissed Her is next, and then one of my favorites, and I had this in my top 5, Matt. This one. Clouds are breaking. It's a beautiful day for a wonderful Pacific getaway. Oh man, I love his vocal on that tune.
Yeah, that's such a classic song too. The chords and then everything. But yeah, Al just rocks that. Yeah, it's so good.
Then Susie Cincinnati, which was in my top 5. Heroes and Villains, the live version. Yeah. Come Go With Me. I Know There's an Answer. Honking Down the Highway. Looking at Tomorrow, which I cannot believe that got 10 votes.
Doesn't even sound like them on there.
No. California Calling, Runaway Live, California Dreamin', You Still Believe in Me live. I'm surprised that one didn't get more votes. Christmas Day, Crack It's Your Love, which is an awesome song. I love that song.
Yeah.
Crocodile Rock, Santa Ana Wins. I'm surprised that one didn't get more. Peggy Sue, Winds of Change, which, of course, written by our good friend Ron, who joined us on the show tonight. Island Girl, School Days. Did he sing on Island Girl?
Yeah, Island Girl. I love
yeah. School Days, TM Song, and we rounded out with, of course, our little brother being hilarious and writing "Hey Little Tomboy" in all of our polls.
At least he got close to the album this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly right. He was kind of close on that one. So, but how about you, chat? What do you guys think? What are your favorite Al Jardine leads? Let's go through what the chat has to say. Don says Santa Ana Wins would be. Les says, "Oh crap, forgot about Peggy Sue." Yeah, that's a really really good one. Walean on Facebook says Al Jardine is a wonderful musician and beautiful singer. No doubt about that.
Les also said, "Help Me Rhonda," Cotton Fields, School Days, California Calling, Susie Cincinnati, and then solo songs, PT Cruiser and Don't Fight the Sea. So
yeah. Nolan says, "Hey guys, gotta head out. Got a busy day with work. Seeing Billy Joel in Boston at night." What? He's going to see Billy Joel. Oh, let's do it. You got Billy Joel right here.
That'll make the show another hour if you play that song.
Bottle of red, bottle of white. Oh, awesome. I'm very, very jealous of that. So, the chorus of Breakaway is amazing. Jeff brought that up. That's a good point. His vocal on that is tight.
And, and that was one of the hard things doing the solos with Al, because he has a lot of parts like that in songs. Like on I Know There's an Answer, for instance, he doesn't really sing the lead. He shares it, but it's so good. He's got some tunes like that too.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Matt, anybody else want to share their Al Jardine vocals? Matt, why don't we do a little bit of, you want to do some requests before we get out of here?
No one said, Runaway, Come Go With Me, California Dreamin'. Yep. I don't know if you said that one, but yeah.
I love it. So everybody, we do a part of the show where we'll take requests, kind of like a piano bar type situation of Beach Boy songs. If you want to hear a non-Beach Boy song, maybe a King Harvest song. We could do some King Harvest. But
I did have a request that was given to me before the show for you to play. I think you know what it is.
Yeah, I do.
It's called "She's Got Rhythm."
Okay, all right.
From MIU.
All right, so if you got a request, put it in the chat. We're gonna request songs for the next 15 minutes or so. So you want to hear a song, put it in the chat. If you want to make a dedication, you can do that too. What's the song again, Matt? What's it called?
She's Got Rhythm.
Oh, She's Got Rhythm. Yeah, that's
Last night I went at disco. Oh yeah, and Dirk said while you're looking at Honking Down the Highway, and then I Kissed Her. He likes. Yep. So those are great ones. Yep.
This song I kind of know. I don't know it super well, but we'll try it just for whoever. I think Matt Howlett requested that.
I think so. Yeah. I don't even know if he's on. So, but anyway, we'll play for him.
We'll play it. But if you got a request, go ahead and put it in the chat. It's time for our all request. Oh my gosh. The first lyrics of this is last night I went out disco dancing.
Saw a foxy girl up on the floor.
Let me put on some reverb. Oh man, do I really got to sing this one? All right, here we go.
Man.
Last night I went to disco dancing. Saw a foxy girl on the floor. She's got rhythm, she's got something I need. She's got rhythm, she's got something I need. Wait, is this right? She came to my table.
Yeah, that's right.
We ordered something to drink.
Something to drink.
Before you know it, what
What did you think?
The music started playing on. The music got so excited. Yeah, we had to get up on our feet. She's got rhythm, she's got something I need. She's got rhythm, she's got something I need. She's got rhythm, she's got something I need.
How about Claire? Since it was Claire's birthday,
Oh,
I
let's
think
do
it
a
was
song for
yesterday,
Claire. Happy
she
birthday, Claire.
requested Cotton Fields.
Oh, yeah, let's do Cotton Fields. I think I can remember the lyrics for that one.
You caught a nail in your tire doing lickety split.
Lickety split. Oh, yeah, happens all the time to me.
Out in Nebraska, it does.
When I was a little bitty baby, my mama done rocked me in the cradle, in the mold, a cotton field back home. It was back in Louisiana, just about a mile from a Texarkana, in the mold, cotton fields back home. And let me tell you now, when I got me to fix a cotton nail in my tire, doing lickety split, I had to walk a long way to town. I met an outside man with him, he had a hat on. Wait a minute, miss, can you give me some direction? I wanna be right off her home. Don't care if them cotton balls I got running within you, baby, who needs cotton in them old cotton fields back home. Oh, the one thing more that's gonna warm you, a sunny day out in California. It's gonna be them cotton fields back home. It was back in Louisiana, just about a mile from a Texarkana. Give me them cotton fields, live here for the cotton fields. You know there's just no place like home. Brother, there's one more thing that's gonna warm you, a sunny day out in California. It's gonna be them cotton fields back home.
Sounded like Gershwin at the end there. That was good. Good job.
Yeah, just like him.
How
Just
about
like
Tom? Now Tom's requested a few songs, but I don't think you know "Summer of Love," the Mike Love rap tune. But he did request "Good to My Baby." How about "Good to My Baby"?
Okay, Matt, I'm gonna send. Good to My Baby. Yeah, let's do that
Yeah.
one. Oh, that's a real. I want to play guitar on that one.
Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna send you another link real quick, just so we.
Okay, and Tom, we're happy to have you back. Haven't seen you in a while, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
here
seriously.
Tonight, so.
Yeah, Matt, I'm sending you that link on email now,
Okay.
just so you have it.
Okay. Can I do it before it's time? Like, can I just do it now?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I'm sending it right now.
Okay.
Okay. So good to my baby. Good to my baby.
Yeah, you go ahead and I'll come back on.
Okay. And the link is sent right now. Okay. There you go, brother.
Okay.
All right. So we got to do good to my baby. All right, let's do some good to my baby. Matt, did you click in yet? I want to make sure you're good.
It's still loading. All right, I'm gonna do it now.
Okay, perfect. Good to my baby. Good to my baby. All right, we're gonna do. Oh, look, you can see two of me. Oh, wow, this is what. By the way, for those of you interested, and this may not be interesting at all to you, but this is what Matt and our guests see every time. But hopefully, Matt gets in here. Did I mess it up? All right, I promise we're gonna do good to my baby. They think I'm bad and a tree to show me. Admit. Oh, there's two of me.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yay! Okay, Matt's here. All right, so let me get Matt going real quick. And then we will do good to my baby. There he is. All right. Good to my baby.
This one's a great one. Yep, good song.
Good to my baby. Good to my baby. My baby. Good to my baby. They think I'm bad and I treat her so mean. But all they know is from what they've seen. When I get her alone now, you know we're as happy as a couple could be. And when I give her my love, it's between her and me. My girl, and I'm good to my baby. She's my girl, so be good to my baby. And I know she's happy with me. Some guys, they think they'd be better for her, but she knows just what she wants for sure. And when we're out with her friends now, you know we're as happy as a couple could be. And when I give her my love, it's between her and me. She's my girl and I'm good to my baby. She's my girl, so be good to my baby. And I know she's happy with me. All right, Matt, you do it.
Good to my baby.
Good to my baby. She's my girl and I'm good to my baby. She's my girl and I'm good to my baby. She's my girl and I'm good to my baby. She's my girl, so be good to me.
Awesome, man.
Did you like the live fade?
Yeah, you know, when Brian Wilson sings Salt Lake City Live, he does that. He does this and he makes them fade out instead of doing like an ending. They just fade.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know if you know, do you know Sad Sad Summer by Celebration?
No, it's so funny because I just listened to it last night on that record. By the way, my favorite song on that record, I think, is Love Struck. Do you like that song?
Yeah, I do.
Love Struck.
I'm telling you, I love Almost Summer. I love that one. Some summer, well, it's almost summer. I can't help it. I love it. Do you know Winds of Change? That's Ron Altbach's tune.
No, I should have learned the entire. Well, so we will do our MIU album, and I'll make sure I learn all the songs on there.
Yeah.
But having Ron so close, I would not want to play Winds of Change because I want to make sure that I can like make it sound halfway decent. So I do not know Winds of Change. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, it was a lot of fun tonight. Big thank you to, of course, Joanne Figueroa for joining us.
Great.
Man,
yeah,
that was a lot of fun. That was a really, really good time. Let me get this off real quick. There we go.
And Ron, and just so everybody knows, we're going to be off this coming week. Then when we come back, we have some big shows about Field Flows with David Beard will be back with us, and I think Alan Boyd's the first week, and then the next week we'll have Mark Lynette, who of course they worked a lot on Field Flows, the engineering and putting it together and everything. So that's going to be pretty neat.
So we said it before. Your headquarters for all things Field Flows 2 weeks from now is going to be right here on Tuesday night. If you want to get excited about the box set, we're going to talk through all of it. We're going to ask them a bunch of questions about it and maybe play some of the music. It's going to be really, really fun. So Matt and I have been lucky enough to hear a couple of the tracks from it, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really wonderful, and we're really grateful for all those folks for putting stuff, for continuing to put stuff out.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be neat. And and I've seen Alan Boyd and Mark Lynette, on TV a lot because they're involved in all these releases coming out. The Wild Honey one, the Friends, the Sunshine Tomorrow. So it'd be really neat they do a lot of work, they know a lot of the music that hasn't been released. So I think that's pretty fascinating. So it's going to be good.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. So.
And thank everybody here tonight. We had a big crowd tonight. I hope if you're new, you enjoyed it. And
really big crowd tonight.
Come back.
If you had a good time, shared the stream, and come back in a couple of weeks. We're off next week, but we'll be back and we'll talk some Field Flows. But thank you to all of our friends that join us every week. And once again, happy birthday to Claire and happy birthday to
Rainbow.
Rainbow. Yep. Happy birthday. All right, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you again soon.